Chapter 726. Qin. Fei. Yu. Qin Fian threw the newspaper aside and stood up to grab Fei Yu.
You damned thing, how dare you rummage through my drawer?
Fei Yu jumped up and ran towards Jiang Zhao. Yi Er quickly got out of Jiang Zhao's arms and hid in Jiang Zhao's embrace. Jiang Zhao circled Fei Yu and glared at Qin Fian. How old are you? Do you still want to hit Fei Yu in front of so many people? As soon as he said that, Qin Rongfang's face darkened.
He sat on the wide seat and slapped the armrest.
How dare you hit your sister? Try touching a single strand of her hair. If you dare to touch a single strand of her hair, I'll throw you out of the plane today. Qin Fian felt wronged. What was going on? It was clearly not his fault. That little girl had a pure appearance and actually did things like peeping into his privacy. Now these people were actually helping her. This was too much. With Jiang Zhao's protection, Fei Yu sat on Jiang Zhao's lap and did not get off. She hugged Jiang Zhao's neck and looked at Qin Fian with a little grievance. Brother's words are really interesting. You've rummaged through my drawer a lot and peeked at the love letters other boys wrote to me. I was just returning the favor. Qin Fian saw that Fei Yu had found a backer. Now he recognized the girl's true nature. Good for you, Qin Fei Yu. If I hadn't dealt with those crooked things of yours, would your grades be so good now? That's really funny. Boys chasing me is crooked? Then is it proper for you to like men? Great. This fire burned Qin Fian again. Especially at Jiang Zhao's wedding. How could Qin Rongfang not be anxious? Qin Fian. You still have the face to talk about your sister. Go sit in your own seat. Qin Fian looked around. Some people were smiling at him maliciously. Why did they feel like they had fallen into a trap? Just as he sat down and prepared to ignore the outside world and focus on reading the tabloids, Fei Yu's gentle and soft young girl's voice faintly drifted over. I don't know if Big Brother wants to buy land in Starfield Town. Looking at the toll receipts, there are at least dozens of them. He goes there at least a few times a year. What kind of big project is that? Why hasn't it been settled yet? Qin Fian shook open the newspaper and said indifferently, Qin Fei Yu, be careful. There will be snakes all over the floor when you sleep tonight. Fei Yu was so scared that his face turned white. He was so scared that tears came out of his eyes. Hearing Fei Yu's frightened voice, Qin Fian had just chuckled twice when his calf was suddenly hit by a stick. Seeing that it was Qin Rongfang walking over, he picked up the stick and hit his leg. You clearly know that your sister is timid, yet you still scare her. If you scare her again, she'll be afraid of strangers in the future. She's timid? Come on. I can't see that at all. Bam! Another hit. Although it wasn't heavy, it still represented Qin Rongfang's attitude. Yi Er took out a handkerchief to wipe Fei Yu's tears. It's okay, it's okay. Your brother is just scaring you. He wouldn't do such a thing. Thinking of the house full of snakes, Fei Yu was so immersed that goosebumps appeared all over her body. Zhao Gij and Sister Yun are the best. My brother is a bastard. This group of people was Jiang Zhao, Yi Er, Qin Fian, Fei Yu and Qin Rongfang. Other than the servants, there were a total of 5 people. Because the others had not arranged things properly, they were a step late. It was quite lively along the way. At the airport exit, the first time Yi Er saw Jiang Zhao's younger brother, Jiang Feng, he was shocked by his enthusiasm. He was 186 centimeters tall. Although he was dressed fashionably, he was definitely not childish. His buzz-cut hair gave him a unique personality. The smile on his handsome face was always a little mischievous. When he opened his arms to hug them, it was as if there was a burst of youth burning in him. Jiang Feng had only returned to the country for less than a month. Yi Er thought that handsome men were used to being unrestrained overseas. But later on, Jiang Zhao told her that Jiang Feng had always been like this. Only then did Yi Er understand the saying, the dragon has 9 sons, each with his own merits. His uncle's son, Jiang Rue, who was the eldest son of the Jiang family, brought his wife and son Jiang Mian to the airport to pick them up. Yi Er carried Dianmian in his arms. Sister, Dianmian is pressing down again. Don't carry him. Let him walk on his own. Once this bad boy touches a beauty, he refuses to get off the bed. He's so annoying. I'm not annoying. Little Dianmian is so cute. Auntie is so cute. Dian Mian cupped Yi Er's face with his chubby hands and kissed him. Gosh, sister, look at how passionate Dian Mian is.
Zhang Zhao leaned over to Yi Er's ear.
Honey, don't be envious. If we work harder in bed at night, we can make one too.
Yi Er's face flushed red as though it was on fire.
Zhang Zhao had his own house in Jiang district. He had told Jiang Feng in advance to help him get someone to tidy it up. Hence, the Qin family stayed in Zhang Zhao's small villa instead of staying in a hotel. It was very lively. Usually, even in Haiqing, it was impossible for a family to stay in one house like this. Qin Rongfang was very happy. On the first day, the Qin family and the Qin family had dinner together. They almost stayed up all night because men always had endless things to talk about. It was the same on the second day. On the third day, they felt that it was too boring. That night, Yi Er and Fei Yu both wanted to go to the beach to play. They didn't want to trouble Zhang Zhao and Qin Fian, so they discussed with Zhang Zhao and Qin Fian that they would drive there. Qin Rongfang wasn't interested in the beach. Moreover, his schedule was very fixed. He didn't want to go with the youngsters. The waves crashed against the rocks. Wave after wave, they retreated and came back again. Fei Yu pulled Yi Er and asked, "Why is there no barbecue at the beach? Where did you see that there must be barbecue at the beach?"
Fei Yu was a little disappointed.
"I saw it on the internet. I thought it would be very interesting." The waves retreated and came back again. Yi Er and Fei Yu looked over. There was a white thing that didn't seem to be retreating. Was it a rock? How could a rock be white? Even a shell couldn't be that big. A person. A dead person. There was actually a dead person lying on the beach.
Brother! Zhang Zhao!
Fei Yu and Yi Er took a few steps back and screamed. Zhang Zhao and Qin Fian were shocked by the two women's voices. They were originally chatting about some business and the latest situation at a distance from the two women. At this moment, they rushed toward the two women like two arrows. Zhang Zhao and Qin Fian didn't seem to be afraid of the dead body. Zhang Zhao moved Yi Er and Fei Yu further away and observed quietly. Another row of waves came and hit the dead body. The waves retreated again. He lifted his trousers with both hands and squatted down. Qin Fian also squatted down. He turned on the flashlight function of his mobile phone and shone it at the dead body lying on the beach. Under the bright light, they could finally see clearly. The white t-shirt was rolled up by the waves, and the waist was exposed. There was a large area of bruises. It looked very thin. Pulling the shirt up a little, the entire back was covered with bruises and bruises caused by heavy blows.
The arms, the back of the neck, and the places with wounds had been soaked white and the wounds were swollen.
Fei Yu had never seen a dead person before. This was the first time she saw a back covered with bruises. She was so scared that her eyes were about to fall out. Yi Er covered Fei Yu's eyes. Fei Yu couldn't help but look. "Call the police. It's probably a murder." Zhang Zhao shook his head. Qin Fian flipped the body over and curiously put his finger on a face that was also covered with bruises. He put his finger to the nostrils. "Brother, it's still breathing." Hearing this, Fei Yu ran over and bent down to grab Qin Fian's clothes. "Brother, if it's still breathing, hurry and send it to the hospital. If we send it to the police, they'll just do it casually. When the time comes, it'll definitely die. It's not a man to not save someone." Qin Fian tilted his head and glared at Fei Yu. The sea breeze blew Fei Yu's black hair up like a veil floating in the wind. "You haven't learned anything from Grandpa. That's not how you should be a Buddhist. By meddling in other people's business, you're inviting trouble. This is murder. Do you know that it's murder? Look at Grandpa, I'm kind and charitable, but have I ever casually saved someone who was about to be murdered?" Fei Yu tugged at Zhang Zhao again. She was usually very gentle, but now she was anxious. "Brother Zhao, don't you think we should send him to the hospital if it's still breathing? Look at how badly he's injured. If we throw him to the police, what if they don't care because they're afraid of trouble? You're the mayor. You're an official. How can you be as cold-blooded as my brother?" Zhang Zhao's job was different from Qin Fian's after all. He stood up and took out his cell phone. When he made the call, he said, "Let's send him to the hospital and then call the police. Besides, I was the one who called the police. If he's breathing, we have to think of a way to save him. I'll give brother a call. He has a comrade named Lu Zheng." Qin Fian stood up and laughed. Haha, the key is that we can use brother's name to get a discount or renege on the debt. Zhang Zhao rolled his eyes at Qin Fian. You don't have to constantly remind me that you're an unscrupulous businessman. Although Fei Yu wanted to save him, she didn't dare to go over and take a look. She just held Yi Er's hand and was still a little scared. It didn't affect anything because of the rescue. After the patient was sent to the hospital, no one cared about him anymore. The Jiang family's second grandson was getting married. Old Master Jiang personally made a phone call and held a banquet. The Jiang family was a famous family in the East. They had a strong political background and strong commercial capital. Old Master Jiang was highly respected in the entire East. Those who could be invited by him were naturally important figures. For a time, all the important figures in the East gathered in Jiang district. Those who didn't receive an invitation but only heard the news also came uninvited. The five-star hotel under Jiang Zhao's name had already emptied all the rooms near the hotel for a week when Jiang Zhao decided to hold the banquet. They didn't accept any reservations and made proper arrangements for all the guests. Everything was taken care of. On the contrary, Jiang Zhao and Yi Er had nothing to do other than trying on their own gowns. Jiang Zhao and Xiang Wan were drinking tea and letting Xiang Wan take Yi Er out shopping. How is it? Brother is very generous this time, isn't he? I won't take a single cent from you. Jiang Zhao didn't thank him. Instead, he became even more aggressive. Hey! But you still have to give me a red packet. Red packet? Last time when you held your engagement in Haiqing, I gave you a big red packet. A bank card worth 1 million yuan. This fellow wants to snatch my money again? You said it's an engagement. This time, it's my wedding. Isn't it still a wedding? Jiang Zhao sipped his tea lazily and explained slowly. There are silver weddings and golden weddings. An engagement and a grand wedding are different. Why? Eldest young master. You're the famous eldest young master in Jiang district. How can you bear to give your younger brother a red packet? Jiang Rui smiled coquettishly. Eldest young master is called by others, not by family members. It has nothing to do with you. So, I don't have money, but I can give you my life. Add. Hongcha 866. Chapter 727. Jiang Zhao leaned over, but there was no one around. Still, he deliberately looked around. Brother, I remember very clearly what you gave Su Ling in the past and where you went to eat. Also, I remember that because Su Ling liked the lake crabs in High City, you called me early and asked me to order them, keep them in ice, and fly them over to you from High City as soon as possible. Jiang Zhao sighed. Although I know that you and sister-in-law are in love now, look at how bored she is. I'm bored too. I really want to chat with her. Sister-in-law trusts you. She definitely won't let her imagination run wild. Just treat it as if nothing happened and talk about the past to relieve her boredom. Jiang Zhao glared at Jiang Rui. Why are you so insidious? Aren't you afraid of retribution for doing something so immoral on your wedding day? Jiang retorted. Jiang Zhao shrugged. Anyway, it won't kill you. Look at you. It's as if you want to eat me. Jiang Rui said. It's 100,000 this time. It's a dream if you want another million. Brother, there's a policy in High City recently. It's about hotels. It's a support for 7-star hotels. Jiang Zhao paused. Jiang Rui spat at Jiang Zhao. Vampire. 1 million. Deal. Thanks, brother. I'm going to pick up my wife. Enjoy your tea. Jiang Zhao stood up happily. He didn't care about Jiang Rui's 1 million red packet. For him, 1 million was just a number. It was mainly because he missed the fun of fighting with Jiang Rui since childhood. He looked forward to Jiang Rui coming back to bite him in 2 days. Then he would fight back. Just thinking about it made him happy. When Jiang Zhao walked out and closed the door, Jiang Rui held the teacup and laughed. 2 days later, Jiang Zhao received a call from Lu Zheng, informing him that the patient had woken up. However, he refused to speak when questioned by the police. There was no problem with his vocal cords, so the police wanted him to go over and ask him in detail about the situation. Jiang Zhao and Yi Er were very busy. Tomorrow was the wedding banquet. Although they had nothing to do, just the things they had to prepare were enough to give them a headache. Therefore, Qin Fian brought Fei Yu to Lu Zheng's hospital. The condition of the ward was very good. As Zhang Zhao was the one who informed him that he had to think of a way to save the patient, he might be useful to Zhang Zhao's political future in the future. Therefore, Lu Zheng arranged for a high-class VIP ward. The boy looked to be around 17 to 18 years old. He was wearing a hospital gown. He was clearly the victim, and there were bruises on his face. His hair was messy, but he didn't look disheveled at all.
Instead, he had an indescribable air of nobility.
He propped himself up with a pillow behind him and stared coldly at the wall. The bruises on his face were greenish with a tinge of yellow, but they were almost gone. Qin Fian and Fei Yu propped themselves up on stools and sat at the end of the bed. The policeman held a pen and asked when the parties involved were awake. "Mr. Qin, what was the situation when you discovered the victim?" "We were walking by the beach. It was my sister and sister-in-law who discovered him first. Please describe the situation in detail." "It was the same as what I told you the last time. He was lying on the beach with many injuries on his body. At that time, we wanted to call the police because we were worried that someone might have murdered him. But you didn't call the police immediately." Heh. Qin Fian looked at the serious policeman in amusement. How boring. What was he doing here? He was asking meaningless questions. He asked the same questions the last time, and now he was asking again. "My sister said that she was still angry and wanted to save him first. She was worried that if we called the police, those who could live would be tortured to death. Therefore, we were more assured that we would pay for sending him to the hospital. My sister said that we couldn't leave him in the lurch." The policeman's expression changed. Fei Yu tugged at the corner of Qin Fian's clothes and said timidly, "Brother, if you say that, what if they take revenge on me? After all, we're in Jiang district and we're not familiar with the place. With the old master of the Jiang family and the eldest young master of Jiang district backing you up, what are you afraid of? Although we're only in-laws with the Jiang family, we're still legal citizens. We've done a good deed. Why should we be afraid of the police's revenge?" "Fei Yu, you shouldn't think of the police like that." After Qin Fian finished speaking, he raised his eyebrows and glanced at the policeman who was about to explode. Sure enough, when he heard that he was in-laws with the Jiang family, the policeman immediately became quiet. When he took the statement, the seriousness on his face lessened. "Mr. Qin is right. How is that possible?"
Fei Yu said. "Oh."
Then he leaned closer to Qin Fian. After the incident on the plane, Qin Fian wanted to pinch Fei Yu. This guy was really a tyrant at home. Once he was outside, he was afraid of strangers. Now he knew that his brother was reliable? Heartless little thing. The policeman looked at the boy who was sitting there motionlessly. "The injuries on your body were found to be caused by a blunt object. Do you still remember the scene at that time?" The boy didn't turn to look at the policeman. Instead, he stared at the wall and looked at Fei Yu. Although his eyes were as cold as before, they didn't blink. Fei Yu kept leaning on Qin Fian's side. But no matter what the policeman said, the boy sitting on the bed didn't speak. "Where are you from? What's your name? Who's in your family? What a headache. You don't even say a word. Where should I send you? Should I send you to the reception center?" Fei Yu raised his head at this time. The boy's gaze softened, revealing an undisguised sadness and pity. His eyes lowered as if he was begging. The boy's hand that was currently on an 4-drip was placed on the thin blanket, his 10 fingers slender and beautiful. The contours of his face looked like they had been carved and scraped by a thin razor. If it weren't for the bruises on his face, how beautiful would he be? Fei Yu swallowed. "Brother, why don't we take him back? It's not like there's one more person to eat anyway, right? He's also homeless. When he remembers, we'll find the police." The policeman immediately wanted to throw away a burden. "That's the best, the best." Qin Fian stood up. "No." He took Fei Yu's hand and said coldly to the policeman, "We've already told you everything we know. Let's go." Fei Yu was dragged out by Qin Fian. When they reached the corridor, Qin Fian scolded Fei Yu. "What's wrong with your brain? What kind of person is he? How dangerous is he? He was murdered. Murdered. Do you understand? Put away that little sympathy of yours that you're showing at any time. When the time comes, you'll cause a lot of trouble for yourself," Fei Yu said. Fei Yu curled her lips and left reluctantly with Qin Fei Yu. The next morning, it was only 5 o'clock, but the old house of the Jiang family was already busy. A wedding was always grander than an engagement. Moreover, in order to show that his wedding was better than Qin Rongfang's, Master Jiang used all means. Jiang Rui was mature, steady, and thoughtful. Everything that was assigned to him was done very well. Qin Rongfang said disdainfully, "It's just that the Qin family doesn't run a hotel. What's the big deal?" Translator, WQL Editor. Ali Master Jiang put on his neat military uniform and hung his Medal of Honor on his chest. Straightening his back, he looked at himself in the mirror and felt very proud. Although the military uniform looked a bit big, his back was straight and majestic. Qin Rongfang sat on the sofa behind Master Jiang. The button-down shirt he wore today was dark red. He had silver hair and snow-white eyebrows, which looked very festive. He sneered disdainfully. "What's the big deal? Didn't you just fight when you were young? You only know how to hold on to the past and take advantage of your seniority." Old Master Jiang was so happy that his eyebrows flew up. "Aya, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. My Rue is not very promising. He only owns about 100 hotels in the country, and he even has a small company that earns some money a year. What's the big deal?" But the people from the famous families in Jiangzhou have to call him young master when they see him. Some people who are older than him have to call him that. "Oh, it's really not a big deal. Our Zhao Zhao is not a big deal either. He became the mayor at a young age. In the future, he entered the provincial party committee and the central government." Oh, the position of the Jiang family in the east can't be more stable. When Qin Rongfang heard Master Jiang talking about Jiang Zhao, he was so anxious that he stood up and said loudly, "Zhao Zhao was brought up by me. It has nothing to do with you. His surname is Zero Jiang. I can't help it. I really can't do you a favor. The Jiang family has a family tree. If Zhao Zhao has a child in the future, his surname will be Zero Jiang. Do you know that?" Qin Rongfang was so anxious that he was trembling. This old fart only knew how to use this matter to rebuke him. Old Master Jiang said in a sarcastic tone, "Aya, Fian is amazing. She can compete with our family's Rue in business. She looks pretty, but her methods are like a wolf's. In the future, the Qin family's business status in Haiqing goes without saying. As for this, I can't help but admire them. But at the end of the day, they don't touch women. As Chinese, we still pay attention to our roots. Only Xiao is like this. Why do you want to marry Fei Yu to the Pei family in the south? You should have kept Fei Yu as a grandson-in-law. At least leave him with the surname Qin." Qin Rongfang was directly angered by Master Jiang on the big day. His eyes rolled back and he was about to fall back. Master Jiang's expression changed. He hurriedly strode over and supported Qin Rongfang's back. Looking at Qin Rongfang's trembling lips, he slowly laid him flat on the sofa. Although he was old, Qin Rongfang's body was very light. Thinking that everyone was old, Master Jiang's heart ached. "Old Qin. Old Qin. I was just joking, old Qin." Qin Rongfang's breathing was uneven. You old fart, you want to anger me to death." Master Jiang was so regretful that his intestines turned green. They had been old friends for decades, but he was always poking at each other's shortcomings. At home, he taught his descendants to be open-minded. Why couldn't he do it when it came to Qin Rongfang? "Old Qin, I was just joking. We've been fighting for so many years. When have we not been like this? I'll call the doctor right away." "Don't call me. My Qin family has no descendants. I don't want to live. Call the doctor. I don't want treatment." Qin Rongfang slowly closed his eyes. Tears fell from Master Jiang's eyes. "Old Qin, don't think too much. I told Zhao Zhao's child to be born with the surname Qin. You were the one who raised Zhao Zhao, so I shouldn't steal your credit. The first child born with Zhao Zhao should have the surname Qin after you. It should be surnamed Qin. It's all thanks to you." "I don't believe you. You old fox. I don't believe you. I won't cooperate with the doctor." "Little Lu. Little Lu." Master Jiang quickly called Mama Lu. She hurriedly called Mama Lu over. Go. Go find Zhao Zhao. Mama Lu immediately turned around and ran to find Jiang Zhao. Yi Er had just been picked up by the makeup artist and sent to Jiang Zhao's villa. They were about to go through the process of picking up the bride. When he heard that Qin Rongfang had collapsed, Jiang Zhao threw away the tie in his hand and ran to Master Zhang's room. Old Madam was busy in the backyard and didn't know anything. Welfare, Hongcha 866. Chapter 728. The moment Jiang Zhao entered the old master's room, he saw the old man lying on the sofa. His grandfather was wiping his tears. Jiang Zhao's heart trembled. "Grandpa!" The sound of irritable leather shoes stomping on the wooden floor could be heard. When old Master Jiang saw Jiang Zhao running over, he seized the opportunity and said in a trembling voice, "Zhao Zhao, let me tell you. Your first child with Yi Er will have the surname Qin. Quickly agree to your grandfather's request. It's all my fault. It's all my fault. Tell me, he's already so old. How can he withstand anger? Quickly agree to his request. Otherwise, he won't go to the hospital. This can't be delayed." Jiang Zhao did not allow for any explanation and immediately nodded. Okay. Grandpa, if your surname is Qin, then it's Qin. Let's go to the hospital. Let's go to the hospital. Qin Rongfang's weak eyelids opened a little more and looked at old Master Jiang. "Old fart, do you mean what you said?" Of course. If I don't, then all the grandsons of the Jiang family are cowards. Is that okay? This was something that old Master Jiang was proud of. The fact that he could use it to make a bet meant that he would never go back on his word. Who would have thought that Qin Rongfang's listless eyes would suddenly become full of vigor in front of everyone's eyes? Then, he slowly sat up and patted his clothes. "Since we've already agreed, then let's get ready. Although there are many people today, we can't make any trouble." Old Master Jiang Zhao, and the servants who had rushed over in a panic were dumbfounded and confused. What did it mean to be disrespectful as an old man? This was it. Old Master Jiang was so angry that his face turned green. He stood up and pointed at Qin Rongfang, who was still sitting there leisurely. He almost vomited blood. "Qin Rongfang. You old fart, you're disrespectful as an old man." Qin Rongfang's face was glowing. He stood up slowly and smiled gracefully. He grabbed old Master Jiang's hand and said with emotion, "Old Jiang, you're so literary. The idiom, disrespectful as an old man, is engraved on my forehead. But there's also an idiom that all's fair in war. Didn't you used to fight in the army? Those badges on your chest must have been bought from a street stall." Alas, Master Jiang was so angry that he waved Qin Rongfang's hand away in disgust. "You old ****starred, how dare you set me up?" Qin Rongfang laughed heartily. He was much more energetic than the average old man. Jiang Zhao finally understood. Could it be that these two old men had just put on a wonderful show together? It didn't matter to him who the child took the surname of. "Then let's go have breakfast together?" Jiang Zhao breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was just a joke. If something had really happened to his grandfather's body, he would have made a mess today. "Grandfather?" Qin Rongfang pulled Jiang Zhao and walked out. "Good grandson, let's go and eat." "Ignore him. He's throwing a tantrum. He's already so old and he doesn't care about his image at all." Old Master Jiang followed them and pulled Qin Rongfang and Jiang Zhao's hands away. He shouted, "Qin, you tell me. Who doesn't care about their image? Who didn't care about their image just now?" Jiang Zhao had one head and two heads. These two people had never had enough of messing around in their lives. Every time they met, they would quarrel. It was really annoying. Jiang Zhao sighed and bowed deeply to the two old men. His words were sincere and pitiful. "Two ancestors, your grandsons are getting married today. Can you be magnanimous and do us the honor of having a peaceful meal together?" Old Master Jiang snorted. When he passed by Zhao Zhao, he said, "I'll find a woman to rape Fian. If Fian has a child, I won't allow Zhao Zhao's child to take the surname Qin." He thought that Qin Rongfang would refute, but he reached out and hugged old Master Jiang's arm. He laughed and flattered him. "Then I'll leave it to you, old brother." Old Master Jiang's face darkened, and he glared at Jiang Zhao. "You do this?" "Ah!" Jiang Zhao was speechless. "Today is my wedding. Do these two people have to do this to me?" Grandpa, Xijie has already boarded the plane with Mom and Dad. Have you arranged for someone to pick them up?
It's been arranged.
Really, what's keeping you so busy? Zhang Zhao smiled. Sister Zhan said that she was taking Xijie on a trip. Brother Lai Qing followed them for their honeymoon. How could he be free? According to the old tradition, they had to snatch the bride. The bridegroom's motorcade was mighty and powerful. Not only was the team powerful, but they were also all luxury cars. Zhang Zhao wanted to keep a low profile and also planned to keep a low profile. After all, his background was in high city. However, as soon as Zhang Rui waved his arm, his friends all joined the team to pick up the bride. The domineering black luxury cars formed a line and moved forward on the city road next to each other. The awesome luxury cars showed off their prowess, and the awesome license plates dazzled everyone. The drivers were either handsome men or beautiful women. They were either dignified or sloppy. Wow, it's so eye-catching. I'm afraid that all the handsome men and beauties in Jiang District are in this motorcade, right? That's right. Young Master's younger brother is getting married. Who doesn't give face to him? Oh, it's a pity that I can't eat it. It's so uncomfortable. Zhang Zhao's wedding in High City was considered an engagement. He didn't have enough preparation. At this time, he finally tasted the vanity that he only had when he got married. Haha. I finally got married. Just as he was thinking happily, his phone rang. Bridesmaid? Yes, the bridesmaid arrived at Xia Qian in the middle of the night. Hello, Qian Qian. Zhang Zhao. What's wrong?
No, I'm afraid that this wedding won't happen.
Xia Qian. If you dare to speak nonsense today, I won't give your brother-in-law any face. He was furious. This Xia Qian was really stupid. It was his wedding day, and she was making a fuss about not getting married? No, we really can't get married. Get lost. Zhang Zhao was really angry. He put the phone away and pressed the button to hang up. After 2 seconds, the phone rang again. The veins on Zhang Zhao's forehead were throbbing. As the best man, Qin Fian nudged Zhang Zhao. Brother, answer it. Zhang Zhao picked up. Xia Qian. I'll change you immediately. Zhang Zhao. Yi can't take it anymore. She's vomiting on the bed and can't get up. She can't even drink water now. Her throat is bleeding. What should we do? Zhang Zhao tightened his grip on the phone. He anxiously tugged at his bow tie and said to the driver, Don't set up a formation. Stick it in when you see a gap. Hurry up. He turned around and asked Xia Qian impatiently, What did you say? She's vomiting so badly? Xia Qian was so anxious that she stomped her feet. It's true. Her face is white. I said to send her to the hospital, and they said to feed her some saline and positive energy solution. It's probably because there are too many people in the house. They said it's not auspicious to send her to the hospital. What should we do? Zhang Zhao slammed his large palm on the dashboard in front of him. Why are you so stupid? Of course we should send her to the hospital.
But I've never been married.
Why should I be worried about auspiciousness? I don't know. Those people seem to be very experienced. Aye. Zhang Zhao called his grandfather. When the traffic light turned green, he wanted to open the car door and leave. He was so anxious that his insides were on fire. Grandpa, hurry up and call a few of the old maids at home and send Yi to the hospital. She's already vomiting. Who cares if it's auspicious or not? Grandpa Lu held the phone and immediately comforted him. Zhao, don't be anxious. Grandpa will call the doctors here. Don't be anxious. You're already an adult. Zhang Zhao kept urging the driver to hurry up and complained, How can I not be anxious? This is my wife, not someone else's wife. If it were someone else's wife, I wouldn't be anxious either. Grandpa Lu was still angry in the morning. When he heard his usually filial grandson talking incoherently, he suppressed his anger. Okay. Grandpa will call the military vehicles to send the alarm over. It'll be quick. Grandpa will hang up now. Yi got up very early that day. Grandma Lu reminded her to get up early as she would be very tired. She wanted to prepare some food for the newlyweds. She looked at the glutinous rice balls, dumplings, wontons, porridge, bread, and cakes. She didn't want to eat any of them. Nanny Lu kept persuading her not to eat. She would be too tired if she didn't eat. The last time Jiang Rui got married, Xiang Wan was already exhausted. Yi Er ate some porridge and didn't want to eat any dishes. She endured it when she was putting on makeup. She endured it when she was in the car. When they arrived at Jiang Zhao's villa, she endured it when Nanny Lu talked about the rules of Jiang district. In the end, she couldn't stand it anymore. She vomited all the food. She vomited so much that her throat seemed to have grown something. She couldn't spit anything out. Even swallowing her saliva hurt her throat. When Jiang Zhao arrived, the doctor was measuring Yi Er's blood pressure. Yi Er was so weak that her legs felt like jelly. Nanny Lu said that she would be so tired that she would feel weak. However, she didn't expect that she would feel weak even before they officially started. Jiang Zhao pushed the doctor away and carried Yi Er, who had already put on the wedding veil. "Let's go to the hospital." "Put her down." The doctor immediately stopped him. Jiang Zhao could only put Yi Er on the bed. The doctor asked carefully, "What did you eat this morning?" "Porridge." When Yi Er thought of porridge, she began to retch again. She vomited so much that her eyes rolled back. At this time, there was nothing left to vomit. The pain in her throat was unbearable. She vomited until it tore and some blood streaks came out. Jiang Zhao looked at his grandfather's doctor, who was so calm. He could only anxiously look for water or tissues. There was nothing he could do. Xia Qian asked everyone to leave the room. She wanted to get some fresh air. Jiang Zhao and Yi Er had eaten together in the morning. The food in the Jiang family couldn't be unclean. Everyone was fine. He frowned and said to the doctor, "Everyone ate together. She's the only one who vomited. It can't be that the food is unclean. It's more important to go to the hospital. Let's do a urine test," the doctor said abruptly. "Ha!" Jiang Zhao said. "Ha!" Yi Er pressed on her sore throat. "Urine test?" Xia Qian asked. "Urine test?" Qin Fian followed. "Yes." "What if it's a pregnancy reaction?" Yi Er's face was a little red. The old doctor was a man, so he was a little embarrassed. He wanted to say something, but his throat was too painful from vomiting too many times. When he spoke, his ears hurt. Jiang Zhao saw that Yi Er was anxious, so he said, "It's impossible. She's on time. Her period will come the day after tomorrow." Qin Fian looked at Jiang Zhao meaningfully. Yi Er's face turned even redder. There were so many people. But he had been keeping track of her safe period so that he didn't bring a condom when he did it. The doctor shook his head. "Some pregnant women will have a violent reaction when they're in bed. Which one of you can go and buy a pregnancy test?" Xia Qian answered even faster than Jiang Zhao. She was even excited. I'll go. Then she ran out. Xia Qian had always been fast and efficient, but when she came back, everyone felt that her condition hadn't improved. In a small plastic bag, there was a bag of test papers. There were 2 or 3 test papers of each brand. She said, "There's bound to be one that's not fake. There's bound to be one that's accurate. It'll definitely tell that she's pregnant." It was so shocking. Jiang Zhao didn't think there was a need for a test. He remembered that there was medicine in Yi Er's drawer. In order to prevent her from taking it, he was careful and took precautions. It was impossible for her to be pregnant. Sending her to the hospital was the most important thing. But he couldn't stop the doctor. It wasn't until Yi came out of the bathroom with a 2-bar test strip and showed it to the doctor that Jiang Zhao felt his ears buzzing. Xia Qian hugged Yi Er and shook her. See, I told you. Take the most expensive one. It'll definitely be accurate. The expensive one definitely won't be fake." Everyone looked at her. What kind of logic was that? Jiang Zhao pulled Xia Qian away and placed the pale and weak Yi Er on the bed. He glared at Xia Qian. "Why are you shaking her? Look at how weak she is." His heart ached as he touched Yi Er's face. She had vomited so much that she couldn't speak. "Let me get you 2 mint candies. Does your throat hurt a lot?" Yi Er shook her head. But in her heart she thought, "I'd better slit her throat. Forget it. Even swallowing her saliva hurts. It's better not to eat anything heavy with mint right now. It's very dangerous," the doctor said calmly. Jiang Zhao sat by the bed and watched as his wife rubbed her neck. He knew that she was extremely uncomfortable, but he was still overjoyed by the news that she was pregnant. His hand rested on Yi Er's abdomen. He desperately tried to sense if there was anything beating, but for a moment, he couldn't say a single word of comfort. Hey, Jiang Zhao, are you kicking me to the curb after I've outlived my usefulness? I was the one who bought the authentic test paper. Otherwise, do you think you'd be able to test it? I went to 3 pharmacies, afraid that I'd buy a fake product. Even if I didn't take credit, I still worked hard. I didn't even ask you to give me a big red packet, yet you're still looking at me with such disdain. You. Jiang Zhao's ears hurt from listening to her. Xia Qian, if you talk less, I'll give you a big red packet later. Okay. Xia Qian immediately covered her mouth. For the sake of a red packet, what did it matter if she talked less? Moreover, it was a big red packet. Yi Er insisted on attending the wedding. Jiang Zhao gave everyone a red packet, saying that the bride was pregnant and couldn't make a big fuss. He didn't want to do the bride snatching part of the ceremony. On the wedding stage, the MC understood the situation and only asked the groom questions. The bride stood at the side and nodded meekly or said a few words occasionally. Everyone else thought it was a fly in the ointment, but the groom didn't seem to care. He gently stroked the bride's shoulder and was in a state of surprise and joy. Finally, he held the microphone and couldn't help but laugh wildly. Today, I'll treat everyone to my wedding banquet. In 11 months, I'll treat everyone to my baby's 1-month-old celebration. After a moment of shock, the audience applauded and cheered. Yi Er was wearing a pure white wedding dress. When she lowered her head, the veil covered her cheeks. Her hand was on her belly. She had been able to hold it in, but in this atmosphere, Jiang Zhao's words of happiness and satisfaction made her eyes redden. Tears fell to the ground and seemed to hit her ears with a loud thud. Before it was time for the bride and groom to hug, she threw herself into the man's arms and squeezed her throat hard to suppress the pain. She sobbed with jealousy and said softly, "Ah Zhao, you're pregnant. You can't not love me." "How can I not love you? I'll only love the baby if I love you." The handsome man's eyes were gentle. He held the tearful woman's head and kissed her forehead. Then he said in a low and hoarse voice, unable to hide his emotions, "Silly girl, I'll only love our baby if I love you." Xiaoye, end. Dearest, the ending of Xiaoye's story ends here. Beauty novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 729. Xia Qian was the prettiest and dumbest of the bridesmaids. Qin Fian was the prettiest and most famous of the groomsmen. The worst part was that she didn't let the other bridesmaids drink the wine and drank it all by herself. Her hair covered her forehead, and her hair hung down and wrapped around her face, making her oval-shaped face look a little smaller. She drank until her whole face was red. From time to time, she would stick out her tongue because of the spiciness of the white wine. She would slap her own tongue, looking very cute. But she couldn't speak. Once she spoke, her cuteness would be ruined. "Ah, this wine can't be fake, right? Didn't the wine in the advertisement say that it's mellow and fragrant? Why do I feel like there's capsaicin in it?" Everyone was speechless. Old Master Zhang's grandson was holding a banquet. Would he buy fake wine? The most famous of the bridesmaids always threw a glance at him, and the others all treated him like a groom and served him. They even swept the wine away for him. The groomsmen's suits were all Armani. Qin Fian had a beautiful and charming face, but the eyes behind his refined glasses were always shining like a fox's. From time to time, he would reach out to push the glasses on his nose and stay far away from the women. He was very good at avoiding alcohol. When it came to greeting, he would immediately pull out the groomsmen behind him. "Let me introduce you. This is XX's son, XX. He works in XX's industry." The topic was immediately brought up, and he retreated to the side. For the whole night, unless it was someone he was very close to, he didn't drink a single glass. He was really the most famous groomsman. So when the banquet ended, Xia Qian was like a dead pig, and Qin Fian was the only sober one among the drunk people. Xia Qian always felt that there was a heroic spirit in her bones, just like the chivalrous heroes in Jin Yong's novels. There was a kind of bravery and fierceness when seeing injustice and a hero who hated evil. She couldn't stand Qin Fian's coquettish look. Look at him smiling like that. He was a vixen.
He was a good man who was better looking than women. How could those women who skinned their faces and had their eyes and noses done for the sake of their looks endure? Xiaoqian had thought about plastic surgery countless times because her nose was not as perky as her sister's and Yi Er's. However, she had only thought about it and did not put it into action. Her sister and Yi Er always said that it was fine and that they looked very comfortable together. After seeing Qin Fian, she felt that her sister and Yi Er were actually giving him too much sympathy in their words of consolation. Qin Fian's appearance was a blow to her self-esteem as a woman, so she often wanted to cut off a part of his face and paste it on her own face. She didn't like him just because he was beautiful. This man was evil. Last time at the swimming pool, he had ruined her reputation. Even a hero should take revenge. Knowing that Qin Fian hated women touching him, Xiaoqian was so drunk that she hugged Qin Fian's neck and refused to let go. Zhang Zhao couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't wake Xiaoqian up no matter how hard he tried. Qin Fian hated Xiaoqian to the core. This woman had bitten him with the same mouth that she had eaten stinky tofu. She had taken off his pants. Now, she was taking advantage of his brother's wedding to get physical with him. There were a few times when he didn't have to look at everyone. He had viciously pinched Xiaoqian's waist as if he wanted to pick up a small piece of meat, pinch it a few times, then pull it out of her body and throw it away. Xiaoqian was in so much pain that her heart was scratching. She cursed in her heart, "Qin Fian, you bastard." In front of all the guests, Qin Fian made a fool of himself because he couldn't get rid of a drunk woman hanging around his neck. When grandfather Zhang found out that Yi Er was pregnant, he was afraid that Qin Rongfang would steal his great-grandson's surname. Some words, once spoken, couldn't be taken back. Seeing a girl hanging around Qin Fian, grandfather Qin Fian kept persuading him from the side, saying that men should pay attention to their manners and give way to girls. At the very least, he had to give them some basic respect. Moreover, this girl was drinking for Yi Er today. In the end, she didn't do it on purpose. She was quite loyal. Qin Fian was choked to death by grandfather Zhang. If they weren't in the Zhang family's territory and grandfather Zhang hadn't been in front of him, he would have kicked this woman to death. Qin Rongfang saw that grandfather Zhang was very attentive and let him do as he pleased. Other young masters were very strict about their private lives, afraid that they would cause trouble if they went out to play with women with no status. But he was different. Qin Rongfang felt that he was quite not easy. He didn't have any more wishes in this life. As old Zhang said, he just wanted to find a woman to rape his grandson. No matter what the woman's family background was, as long as she could move, get pregnant, and give birth to children, it was fine. Now, he couldn't wait for his grandson to go out and mess around. So be it. As long as he didn't continue to mess around with men, it was fine. Fian, Xiaoxia is also drinking for Yi Er. Your brother is really tired from taking care of your sister-in-law today. You are his brother, so please bear with him. Send Xiaoxia back to the hotel. Qin Fian kept raising his neck in disgust, afraid that his chin would touch Xiaoqian's head. Her sister is here. Zhang Zhao had already asked someone to send Yi Er back. He was here greeting the guests and sending them off. Seeing Fian's sorry state and hearing grandfather's words, he came over and patted Qin Fian's shoulder. I said that we're not going to mess around with the bridal chamber today. Xiao Ya and Yi Chen have already gone out to play. Send them off. Chen doesn't know anyone else. Just send her off on account that she is your sister-in-law's good friend. Qin Fian was speechless. Don't the Zhang family have servants? Why are you asking me to send her off? Qin Rongfang stood in the same place. Just send her off. If you don't send this girl off, who will? Who isn't busy today? You're so free. Why can't you help your brother send the guests off? What kind of brother are you? Zhang Zhao had become a father. He was grinning all the time. In such a mood, he really didn't have any intention of scolding others. Fian, grandfather is right. Help me send her off. Look how long this girl has been hanging on you. She won't budge no matter how hard she tries. Are you going to sleep here? Although Xiaoqian knew that she had to discuss Qin Fian, she just hung on his neck for the sake of hanging on. She didn't have much consciousness. After all, she had drunk too much. When Qin Fian got her into the car, she collapsed in the back like a dead pig. When Qin Fian got out of the car, he immediately called the security guards to pull her away. Xiaoqian seemed to have sensed it. She jumped up and pushed open the car door. She staggered to catch up with Qin Fian and hung on him. After hanging up, she wanted to sleep again. Her head was hurting badly. In the end, Qin Fian sent Xiaoqian back to the hotel as promised. But the moment the door opened, Xiaoqian suddenly felt nauseous. She pulled Qin Fian's shirt and vomited everything she had drunk that night. It was all because of her flirtatious behavior. Who asked a certain someone to like to loosen 3 buttons? Qin Fian only felt a heat in his chest and stomach. Then, there was a terrible stench. His shirt wasn't tucked into his pants. The filth all flowed down his stomach and stained his pants and shoes. Behind the refined glasses, his phoenix eyes were wide open. His piercing gaze was piercing. He wanted to kill someone. Holding his breath, he was about to push the woman away when Xiaoqian pulled Qin Fian's shirt again. Wah! Walala, she vomited everything again. At Hongcha 866. Chapter 730. Qin Fian's breath collapsed at this moment, but just as he was about to vomit, he suddenly wanted to take revenge. He wanted to pull open the bridesmaid's dress and vomit, only to find that all the bridesmaids today were wearing strapless dresses. What was a strapless dress? It meant that the chest area was tightly covered, or the dress would fall off. Moreover, today's bridesmaids' dresses were custom-made. They were tailor-made, not elastic. They were tight-fitting and had a zipper at the back. So Qin Fian did something that he had never done before in his life. That was when he imitated Xiaoqian and pulled open her collar, only to find that it was too tight. He wanted to throw up, so when he got angry, he dug his hands into Xiaoqian's chest and pulled hard on her collar. Rip! Rip! The sound of fabric tearing rang out in the quiet corridor. Qin Fian wanted to vomit on Xiaoqian's body as he wished when he saw a pair of snow-white breasts in front of him. They weren't big, but they were firm. After he pulled down the bridesmaid's dress, he leisurely slid it down the woman's body. He actually reached his hands so deep that he even tore off her nipples. Qin Fian was stunned. He wanted to vomit, but he couldn't. He saw that Xiaoqian was swaying and couldn't stand properly, so he hurriedly turned his face away. However, when he heard the door lock click, he immediately opened Xiaoqian's door and leaned it against the magnet. Resisting the urge to vomit, he retreated out of the room and kicked Xiaoqian's butt as fast as he could, trying to kick her back into the room. Xiaoqian's dress was already torn. At this time, it slid down to her waist. The dress that originally reached her calves was now dragging on the floor. Qin Fian kicked her forward. She fell forward as if she was weightless. Her feet stepped on the fabric. She wasn't used to wearing high heels, so she was pulled and scratched. Finally, she was successfully tripped into the room. With a dull thud, Xiaoqian's nose hit the carpet and she landed face first on the floor. Qin Fian grabbed Xiaoqian's arm and dragged her in like he was dragging a dead pig. Then he slammed the door shut. The woman was thrown on the floor. Qin Fian went into the bathroom, threw away his clothes, and took a shower. Outside, she could still hear Qin Fian's voice on the phone. Hurry up. Send it over. Yes, tell him my measurements. Xiaoqian woke up, but the first thing that came to her mind was her face. She was half naked, she touched her face. God, my nose isn't high? My nose too's even flatter now? Do I have to be reconstructed? I really have to get plastic surgery this time. Until she heard Qin Fian taking a shower in the bathroom and making a phone call. She was shocked to the point. She shocked to find herself naked to the floor to get to her to the floor. She was to the shocked. She screamed to be. She was still sitting by the door, and half of her dress was stuck at the foot of the door. Xia's to wakes to Qin? To it to the? Qin Fian. This beast. That. He was gay, and he wanted to molest her. She tugged at the dress, but it wouldn't budge. She got up and opened the door a little to relieve the pressure on the dress. However, she realized that the dress she pulled in was smelly and dirty. It was disgusting because of the vomit on the floor outside the door. Xiaoqian was already feeling nauseous from the alcohol. When she saw the dress in her hands, she couldn't help but vomit. The room, which didn't smell strange, was suddenly filled with a nauseating smell. At the entrance was the hotel's wardrobe. Xiaoqian hurriedly opened the wardrobe door. There were clean robes hanging in the wardrobe, one for men and one for women. She shook her head and grabbed the smaller one. Her head cleared a little, but her steps were unsteady. She pinched her nose and stared at the bathroom door with anger. She pressed the door lock and pushed the door open. She was stunned. She was really stunned. Xiaqian asked herself, Xiaqian, have you seen a handsome man come out of the shower? She shook her head and answered herself, no. Xiaqian, have you seen a naked handsome man come out of the shower? She shook her head. No. Xiaqian, have you seen a naked handsome man come out of the shower with well-proportioned muscles and 8-pack abs? She shook her head. No. Xiaqian, have you seen a naked handsome man come out of the shower with 8-pack abs and skin so fair that it turned pink in the hot water? She shook her head hard. I really haven't, God. Xiaqian, have you ever seen a handsome man who is not only naked, but also wearing nothing under his abs? He's like a black forest, and he even has that magical thing that's thrown right in front of you after he comes out of the shower? She shook her head hard and said bitterly, kill me, I really haven't. So take a look. So be it if you get a needle eye. It's okay. She nodded. Okay, I'll take a look then. Xiaqian swallowed her saliva, almost choking on it. Qin Fian didn't know that Xiaqian had done so many things in such a short time. He only saw her shaking her head and blinking her eyes as if she couldn't see clearly. Then she shook her head again. He turned off the water, grabbed a bath towel, and wrapped himself up. Did you take ecstasy? Or did your brain have a cramp? You're not showering anymore? Xiaqian had already forgotten that her original intention was to get even with Qin Fian. She felt a little regretful. She had never seen a naked man in her life, and the first time she saw him, he gave her such a big meal. He was a perfect combination of fat and thin, and looked delicious. She wondered if he would taste the same when she ate him. Forget about eating. It was a pity that he was gay. She really envied him. However, this man had such a slender and muscular body. His abdominal muscles, arms, and chest were obviously well trained. Why would a little bottom like him need to train such seductive muscles for no reason? But if he was really a top, wouldn't it be a waste to look so small? After seeing Qin Fian's naked body, Xiaqian made a decision to not go against him anymore. Okay. Qin Fian didn't want to say too much to Xiaqian. He was very calm, but his expression betrayed him. He looked like a thin-skinned person who was blushing in embarrassment. Hey, don't be shy. It's not the first time I've seen you. Last time at the swimming pool, didn't I take off your pants? There's nothing strange about it. You can be more generous. Xiaqian swore to the heavens that she said those words to comfort the thin-skinned handsome man. She didn't have any bad intentions. Although she really wanted him to continue looking. Qin Fian had already walked in front of Xiaqian. His face was a little red, and now it was a little dark. If there was any change, it would be that he raised his almond-shaped eyes and smiled. He held the glasses that he used to pretend to be refined, raised his leg, and kicked Xiaqian in the stomach. Xiaqian was kicked out of the door. She staggered back and hit the wall opposite the bathroom door. Ouch! Qin Fian! After crying out in pain, she gritted her teeth and said, God, I think I've been kicked twice today. She watched as Qin Fian retreated into the bathroom and came out after a while. Qin Fian smelled the vomit in the corridor. He gritted his teeth and glanced at Xiaqian. His voice wasn't loud, but it was very harsh. Yes, I kicked both times. The first time I kicked your butt, and the second time I kicked your stomach. How unlucky. I was wearing shoes for the first kick, and I kicked you barefoot for the second. God. Was my head caught in the door just now? I have to find a physiotherapy shop today and peel off the layer of skin on my feet. Qin Fian said as he walked into the room. As he walked, he couldn't believe it and shook his head in annoyance. Xiaqian was really shocked. She remembered that someone had kicked her but just now. At that time, she wasn't very clear-headed, but now she was very clear. She wanted to take revenge, but when she saw Qin Fian's attractive back, she swallowed her saliva shamelessly. She wanted to scold him, but she softened her tone. That's why it's said that women are dangerous and sensual. With such a big piece of meat dangling in front of you, you have to have the ability to be calm even if you want to. You're a man. At the very least, you should have the demeanor of a gentleman, right? Qin Fian took his phone and threw it on the bed. He didn't seem to mind that Xiaoqian was drooling over his meat, but he was extremely irritated. He sent a text message and urged her to change her clothes. The corner of his mouth lifted and he sneered. "Gentleman? Is this the first time you found out that I'm gay? Have you seen me being a gentleman to women? Do you think you're a handsome man? Apart from your flat chest, which part of the cement board is comparable to a handsome man?" Xiaoqian hugged her arms and tightly covered her chest. "Qin Fian. You bastard. You'll shine if I give you some sunshine, right? Ha! You're pushing your luck, aren't you?" The man said disdainfully, "If you have the ability, why don't you show off your chest for everyone to evaluate? Is it like a cement board? Men who train their muscles are more developed than yours, right?" Xiaoqian felt that she was going crazy. It was true. Although she was still a virgin, she was still a fujoshi. It was impossible for her to be ignorant of everything. What was the difference between attacking a woman's chest and attacking a man's JJ size? It was fine if she was constantly attacked by Ye, but now that she was being attacked by a man, the feeling was too different. Xiaoqian felt that it was very ungentlemanly to use force against a half-naked handsome man. As a tomboy, she should give in to such a handsome man. Hence, she calmed herself down before walking to Qin Fian's bedside. "Qin Fian, how do you know that my chest is not as developed as a muscular man's?" Qin Fian had already sent the text message. At this moment, he was shaking the phone in his hand. His two long legs were crossed, shaking his feet. He pursed his lips. "I was the one who opened your clothes just now. Didn't you notice that you're naked? God. Luckily, I'm gay and didn't do anything to you. It wasn't a big blow to you. If a man who likes women saw you lying there naked, I'm afraid he would be very gentlemanly and send you home." Xiaoqian was wearing a loose robe. She was so angry that she couldn't say a word. Besides her breathing, she couldn't hear anything. In a fit of anger, she pulled open her collar and lowered her head to take a look. Indeed, it was too small. Qin Fian looked at Xiaoqian's unrestrained actions. His almond-shaped eyes widened, and he choked and hiccuped. Xiaoqian looked at Qin Fian more and more fiercely. Not only did this man kick her butt, but he also kicked her stomach. Awesome novel. Song Shu 566. Chapter 731. If he hadn't used his beauty to delay her revenge, she would have beaten him up by now. She had wanted to let him off, but he didn't know what was good for him and insisted on going against her. Not only that, he had actually attacked her in an exaggerated manner. Although it wasn't as big as Ye's, it was definitely better than a man with chest muscles. This kind of attack was clearly a bloody sale, a dumping of goods regardless of the cost. Xiaoqian rolled up her sleeves and knelt on the bed. "Qin Fian, I'm your sister. If I let you off today, my surname won't be Xia anymore. Just you wait. I'm going to explode your orange blossoms today. You shameless homosexual. You're a weakling who deserves to be exploded." Before Xiaoqian could put her words into action, the doorbell rang. Qin Fian calmly gestured at Xiaoqian with his chin. "You dirted my clothes with your vomit just now. Now that the person who delivered the clothes is here, go get them for me." The corners of Xiaoqian's mouth twitched. Did this guy mean that he would punish her first? Then, he would enslave her to do things for him. Only then did she realize that she really did vomit on his clothes. She felt a little sorry and wanted to pay for it. Qin Fian got off the bed and whispered, "Forget it. You must have touched it. It must be dirty." He walked past her to open the door. The smelly dress at the door made Qin Fian's expression darken. However, he kept reminding himself that this was Jiang District, not High City. Xiaoqian was his sister-in-law's friend. If he wanted to mess with her, he had to go back to High City. If word got out that he messed with her in Jiang District, people would say that the Jiang family wasn't very kind. Therefore, Qin Fian endured the stench and went into the bathroom to change his clothes. He didn't even say goodbye to Xiaoqian until he left. Just as Qin Fian went into the bathroom to change his clothes silently, a certain idiot had already fallen asleep on the bed. She didn't even cover herself with the blanket. The next morning, when Xiaoqian woke up, she suddenly remembered everything that had happened last night. She stood on the bed and jumped up and down shouting, "Qin Fian! A feud has been formed. Wait and see."
Exploding your orange blossoms is my only wish in this life. The day after Yi Er's pregnancy, the Jiang family arranged for her to have an ultrasound to confirm that she was really pregnant. After Yi Er got pregnant, Jiang Zhao's heart. Yi Er was aware of Jiang Zhao's kindness, but she couldn't accept that.
Haha. I'm not the one who's pregnant. I'm the one who made my wife pregnant. What do you think?
Xiang Wan, who was looking for books for Yi Er, couldn't bear to hear that Jiang Zhao had the upper hand over Jiang Rui. Hence, she said with a smile, it's a woman's ability to have twins. If you don't provide 2 eggs, will your twins fall from the sky? So don't make it sound as if you're so great because Yi Er is pregnant with twins. It's all because Yi Er is great. Jiang Zhao choked at first, but then he laughed. Yes, it's because my wife is capable. Look, I've married such a capable wife. This is such a great thing. You really know how to flatter yourself. Xiang Wan had already found all the books and tied them up. Take them and read them. Jiang Zhao held the books in his hands and looked at the bundle of books about pregnancy. His eyes felt bitter, and he adjusted his position and attitude. Thank you, sister-in-law. Look, I told you to buy them, but you insisted that I come to Snow Garden to get them. I tested these books first. I found them for Yi Er after I found them useful. If you go to the bookstore to buy them, you won't know how to choose. Okay. Then I have to thank sister-in-law even more. After returning to Haiqing, Jiang Zhao read books with Yi Er every day. Sometimes he would explain to Yi Er loudly, Honey, look. It's written in the book that the best age for a man to give birth is 30 years old. For a woman, it's 25 years old. The bigger the age difference between a man and a woman, the smarter the baby will be. Yi Er was sleepy. She vomited less now, but her sleepiness didn't change. Honey, do you understand what I'm saying? Why did you only say mm? Hey, Yunyi, are you deliberately pretending not to hear what I said? Say it again, I'm listening. I said that the best age for a man to give birth is 30 years old or later. For a woman, it's 25 years old. The baby born this way will be very smart. After 30 years old, men's intelligence will become more mature and can be inherited. This shows that an old man and a young wife are the perfect match. Do you understand what I mean? Yes. Yi Er answered him and didn't hear what he said. She only knew that he kept waving at her. Why isn't this fellow going to work? D***mn. Yunyi. If it weren't for the prenatal education, he would have cursed. Yi was startled by the man's loud and clear voice. She opened her eyes. Wasn't she still lying on the bed? Did he have to work so hard to hug her with one hand and read a book with the other? Hubby. Jiang Zhao glared at Yi Er. When he heard the soft hubby, he lost his temper. Thus he told her what he thought. The book says that an old man and a young wife are the perfect match. Just like us, although we're 10 years apart, the baby will be very smart. This had always been a barrier in Jiang Zhao's heart. He always felt that this wife couldn't support the family. She was too young and unstable. It was very likely that there would be problems. Now that they had a child, she didn't seem unhappy because of the pregnancy. Yi Er frowned and said blankly, Why is it an old man and a young wife? I think I'm a young wife, but I don't think you're old. Everyone says that I look old, but why do you look so young? So handsome? Jiang Zhao was delighted. He threw the book in his hand and hugged Yi Er even tighter. Honey, really? Really? You're really not old. You're really not old. Jiang Zhao sweetly and cheekily placed his face on Yi Er's shoulder and smiled. Yi Er was confused. Why are you so happy when I say you're not old? Didn't they say that an old man and a young wife is better? Jiang Zhao's face stiffened. He coughed awkwardly and sat up. I'll go downstairs to cook wontons for you. Sleep for a while more. I'll wake you up later to eat. Xiaofan was still doing her internship. In order to perform well, she went to work early in the morning. She cleaned her colleagues' desks and didn't let go of her superiors' desks. She had read a workplace guide before. The general idea was that it was important to be diligent in a unit. If you showed off too much, you would be easily ostracized. However, Xiaofan neglected that she didn't have anything to show off. It was a terrible thing to work hard in a unit like this, especially for a girl like Xiaofan who came to the office early in the morning to do odd jobs. They were all new colleagues, so they couldn't stand her servile nature. Xiaofan actually didn't know how to socialize. In order to show that she had helped her colleagues, she would often loudly count her contributions in the morning when there were many people or superiors around. Xiao Wang, I helped you water your cactus. Xiao Li, your keyboard was too dirty. I helped you pat it and clean it again. Xiao Zhang, I categorized the documents on your desk. Xiao Zhao, I threw away the trash bag under your desk. There were a lot of snacks in it that would attract rats. Director Chen, I cleaned the floor in your office. Aya, Xiao Xia, thank you. F*CK, my cactus is a cactus. Do you think it's a rose? If you water it every day, do you want it to bloat to death? How can I help you, Chen? F*CK, how is my keyboard dirty? Busybody. Xiao Xia, I've really troubled you. Crazy woman, where did the documents offend her? Categorize? Now I can't even figure out how to categorize things. Haha, Chen, thank you so much. Crazy woman, how dare she say that her trash bag attracted rats in front of her superiors? Is this woman a prostitute? Director Chen looked at Xia Chen with satisfaction. Xiao Xia, not bad. It's rare to see a young lady like you nowadays. You're also willing to help others. Now the office is clean every day. Not bad. In my opinion, the cleaning auntie isn't as good as Xiao Xia. There aren't many girls like Xiao Xia. You have a bright future ahead of you. 4 pairs of eyes and 8 shiny knives stabbed at Xia Chen's back. Director Chen continued, it seems that the cleaning auntie can be fired. Our TV station also needs to think of ways to increase revenue and reduce expenditure. Xiao Xia can do these things in the future. Xia Chen was waiting for the compliments happily, but who knew that Director Chen would say something like that? The smile on her face froze. She was so depressed that she wanted to die. The 4 people behind her laughed. None of them were happy. Aya, Chen, we'll have to trouble you in the future. Yes. Chen is really our TV station's little bee. Which young lady is like Xiao Xia these days? She's like a reincarnation of Lei Feng. Could it be that Comrade Lei Feng's soul has transmigrated into Xiao Xia's body? Xia Chen felt that her career had suffered a setback. She had been an intern for so long, and she was still an intern. Those who had good results had all been promoted. She clearly had a chance. It was just that after the incident at the swimming pool, her career had been progressing with setbacks. There were no setbacks, only more setbacks. Chen wasn't an idiot. At the end of the day, the main culprit was Qin Fian. Xia Chenyen slumped in her seat. As soon as she heard Qin Fian's name, she saw a beautiful man's face in front of her. His skin was fair and rosy under the hot water. His muscles, his abs, his long legs, and the lump between his abs and his long legs. Wah! Xia Chen took a deep breath. She felt something warm flowing out of her nostrils. There was a fishy smell. That liquid flowed through her nose and flowed to her lips. Xiao Xia! What's wrong? You're having a nosebleed. Xia Chen's eyes widened. She pulled out 2 pieces of tissue and pressed them against her nose. Then, the thoughts that popped up in her head were always different from those of ordinary people. Beauty novel, Song Shu 566. Chapter 732. God. I have a nosebleed? Do I have leukemia? I'm so young, how did I get such a disease? God, I just graduated from university, I haven't been promoted, I don't have a boyfriend, I'm still a virgin. How did I get such a terminal disease? She suddenly had a tragic thought. Even if she were to die, she had to kill Qin Fian before she died. Qin Fian was eating breakfast. Just as he drank the milk, he suddenly felt his nose itchy and uncomfortable. He couldn't tell where it was uncomfortable. Anyway. He quickly took a piece of tissue and covered his nose. Achoo! Brother, do you have a cold? Fei Yu also took a piece of tissue from the tissue box on the table. She stood up and walked to Qin Fian's side and helped him wipe his nose. Brother, wear more clothes?
It's easy to catch a cold like this. Fei Yu looked at her brother who was wearing flashy pink. A shirt was a shirt. It was said that people who worked had to wear a shirt to look formal. Those who wore a t-shirt to work had no professional ethics. But her brother was wearing a shirt. His chest was bare and his muscles were exposed. She was speechless. Wearing this shirt on him, he had already lost his professional ethics. What are you talking about? I don't have a cold. This girl really knew how to meddle in other people's business. How could he not know if he had a cold? Besides, he exercised every day. How could he feel cold? I'm going to work. Eat slowly. I think someone will scold me.
Humph, I've been scolding you every day.
Why did you only sneeze today? Qin Rongfang didn't say anything. The porridge in front of him was still very hot. Now that the weather was cold, he didn't want to eat cold food. Eating hot food was more comfortable. He rolled his eyes at Qin Fian. Luckily, I'm not counting on you now. Look at how capable Zhao Zhao is. Little Yi is pregnant with twins. Humph. My Qin family has a descendant. Hurry up and get out of my sight.
Grandpa, you're so petty.
It's just giving birth. Didn't the news say that transsexuals are pregnant? Why don't I get my boyfriend to give birth to one for you to see? Qin Rongfang wasn't so angry at first, but when he heard Qin Fian talk about something he cared about so much and said it so unbearably, he picked up the bowl and threw it at Qin Fian. The old man's hand tilted, and the bowl flew towards Qin Fian. Qin Fian laughed and dodged, but the boiling hot porridge flew towards Fei Yu. Qin Rongfang. Fei Yu saw the porridge assessed. She gasped, her mouth open, her eyes wide. Suddenly, a shadow rushed over and hugged speechless in an instant. Boiling hot porridge sprayed all over the person's back. What are you doing here? The young man turned around and looked at Fei Yu. Qin Fian pulled the young man away and looked at Fei Yu. Are you hurt?
Fei Yu tilted her head and looked at the young man behind Qin Fian.
Brother, the porridge splashed on Feng Shang's back. I'm fine. The young man looked at Fei Yu, his eyes relieved. He still didn't speak, but the corners of his mouth turned up slightly. He was wearing a normal t-shirt, but because of his tall stature and delicate features, he stood out. Fei Yu went over and took the young man's hand. I'll take you to the doctor at home. What if you're scolded? Without waiting for the others to agree, she dragged the young man away. Qin Fian frowned at the scene in front of him. Grandpa, what should we do? Fei Yu is still young. She's very compassionate. When Qin Rongfang said this, his tone was obviously not good. He doted on Fei Yu a lot. At that time, it was Fei Yu who insisted on bringing this young man back to High City. She cried and made a fuss, saying that it was wrong to leave him in the lurch. If they left, this young man would definitely be stranded on the streets. What would happen if he had no one to rely on? He was still a young man. What would happen if he committed a crime in the future? He promised her that if he brought this young man back, he could be a servant in the Qin family. Fei Yu even gave the mute boy a name, Feng Sheng. She said that it was because he met them at the seaside that he was saved from death's door. There were many beautiful children in ordinary families. But this Feng Sheng, he didn't speak normally and was very submissive. He didn't have the temperament of an ordinary child. At that time he was so seriously injured. It was obvious that it was murder. She didn't know if it was a blessing or a curse to keep such a boy in the Qin family. Qin Fian looked at Feng Sheng and felt a little uncomfortable. In his eyes, Fei Yu was engaged to the Pei family by marriage. Although she was still young, in a few years, she would marry into the Pei family. No one could change that. But Fei Yu was too concerned about this Feng Sheng. And this Feng Sheng also seemed to pay special attention to Fei Yu. A boy who looked like he was only 17 to 18 years old. How could he be so scheming? But no matter if Fei Yu was scratched by a cat or frightened by a dog, Feng Sheng would follow her like a shadow. Like today's incident of blocking the porridge, if it was in the past, it would definitely be this older brother. But at that time, he didn't react. Feng Sheng was clearly a servant, but he was paying attention to their every move. Just thinking about it made him panic. Fei Yu was usually well-behaved, sensible, and kind-hearted. This was something that everyone in the Qin residence knew. Fei Yu was good to everyone. She had been a nanny in the family for decades, and she was treated like her own granddaughter. She was a girl who was easy to fall in love with. Just by looking at her eyes, one would know that she would not harm anyone. Perhaps he was biased, but after 17 years of living together, he was not a person who was easily deceived. It was just like how his grandfather looked very kind, but in fact, he was an old fox. This could not escape his eyes. Qin Fian had a feeling that Fei Yu liked Feng Sheng. At the beginning it might have been sympathy. When he brought her back to High City, it might still be sympathy. But now, Feng Sheng had helped her resolve danger time and time again. Was it still sympathy? It was very easy for women to develop feelings for heroes. But no one could understand Feng Sheng's emotions. He never said a word. If he was told to do something, he would do it obediently. Nodding his head was the most common action. Sometimes, when Feng Sheng did things, there was a sense of accomplishment. Because he didn't act like a servant, but like a... Qin Fian shook his head. He thought about what grandfather said. His sister was still young. Maybe he was overthinking. After a day of work, it was finally time to get off work. Xiaofan drove her second-hand car, humming a little tune. She was an idiot, so she quickly polished off the day's troubles. Rush hour was the main theme of getting off work. For example, traffic jams, rear-end collisions, or car crashes. When Geely encountered the Maybach, must it be Cinderella who bumped into the prince? No. It must be the princess in distress who met the black-hearted sorcerer. The man didn't care if it was rush hour or not. Like a flirtatious model, he leaned against the front of the Maybach. "Miss, compensate me." Xiaofan looked at Qin Fian's flirtatious appearance. The lump between his long legs and abs appeared in front of her eyes again. Ah! Her nose felt hot again. She quickly covered it. Thinking that she had wiped his car, she quickly pulled out a wrinkled $100 bill from her jeans and handed it to him. "Here." Qin Fian looked at her with disdain. $100? Do you think my Maybach is your lousy car? Xiaofan looked at the car behind Qin Fian and felt guilty. She said, "Lousy car? Get your facts straight. My car looks like a BMW from the front and a Mercedes-Benz from the back. The frame is made in China. How can you call such a noble mixed-blood car a lousy car? Don't you know that Chinese and Western medicine are all the rage for cold medicine now? You're a wretch who worships foreign things." Qin Fian wasn't angry. 30,000. Otherwise, I'll deduct your driver's license. Do you believe me? 30,000? Why don't you go rob a bank? Ha! The man laughed flirtatiously. Xiaofan spat. The weather is so cold and you have so much meat. Are you selling meat? You've gone crazy thinking about money. Take it or leave it. Qin Fian looked at Xiaofan as if he was looking at dirt. If I sell meat, you won't be able to afford it. But if you sell meat, even if it's $1, you won't be able to sell it. So what if I sell meat? Even if we both sell meat, the value is... It's not the same. Xiaofan's self-esteem suffered a huge blow. But because of the price, she couldn't retort. Behind them, the loudspeakers were blaring. The road in front of Xiaofan's car was already very empty. She took a few steps forward and pulled open a man's collar. She threw the $100 bill in, turned around, opened the car door, and got in. Qin Fian was about to chase after her when Xiaofan quickly stuck her head out of the window. "Flirtatious man, let me tell you. My car went to the junkyard during the day. My door handle was pulled by a very dirty cleaner who took out the garbage." Qin Fian's hand that was about to hold the car lock shrank back. Xiaofan took the opportunity to start the car and drive away. Qin Fian's naked body began to dangle in front of Xiaofan again. As she drove, she wiped the blood from her nose. Feeling the threat of death and despair, Xiaofan swore to herself that she would definitely F*** Qin Fian. If she didn't F*** Qin Fian, she wouldn't be human in her next life. But Qin Fian had a grudge against her. How could she successfully F*** him? Knockout drug? No. F***ing him while he was unconscious was simply too unexciting. She must F*** him with an unforgettable orange flower. In his future gay life, he would never forget that a woman named Xiaofan had once given him orange blossoms. This way, Xiaofan's spirit would last forever. Xiaofan was a fool. When she felt that she was going to die, she didn't go to the hospital for a checkup.
Instead, she thought about how to leave a name for herself after giving birth. When Xiaqian tricked Qin Fian into trusting her in a humble manner and was tied to the hotel bed by Xiaqian, Qin Fian experienced for the first time what it meant to be humiliated. When Qin Fian woke up, the back of his head hurt a lot. He wanted to reach out and rub it, but he found that his left hand couldn't reach the back of his head. His right hand also couldn't reach the back of his head. He wanted to turn over, but it was uncomfortable. Come and see. Song Shu 566. Chapter 733. He tried a few more times and realized that his hands were tied behind his back. His feet were also tied. His ears were filled with the sound of bang 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 bang. He suddenly opened his eyes and realized that he was in a hotel bed. A hotel was always the best place in the world to distinguish it from other environments. No matter how cozy the decoration was, a hotel was still a hotel. It gave off a commercial hotel vibe. Following the sound, he found a woman with pear blossom hair fiddling with something in front of the dressing table. Xia Qian. Hey. Xia Qian was fiddling with a bunch of bottles and various utensils. These utensils were not ordinary utensils, but random things bought from a sex shop. When she answered Qin Fian, she was obviously absent-minded. Why did you tie me up? To satisfy you. Xia Qian felt that this man was asking the obvious, so she picked up a bottle of oil. Wait a minute. I'll find some videos to watch. I think it's a bit difficult to understand the things you gay people do. Time is tight, so I might as well learn and do it now. What do you mean by learn and do it now? Qin Fian shuddered. He finally recognized this woman's true nature. What humble acknowledgement of a mistake. What fawning. What grandpa, 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 grandpa? He even said that he would help her bring something to the hotel. Now she knew that the box of things was clearly the tools on the table, and he had personally helped her bring them up. As soon as the things were put down, she picked up the stick and knocked him out. As the saying goes, a woman's heart is the most vicious. Only women and villains are the hardest to deal with. His hands were tied behind his back, and his feet were tied together. This way, he could bend his body more comfortably. He tried to untie the rope with his hands behind his back, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find the knot. At this moment, Xia Qian said with some annoyance, "Popping orange flowers is too complicated. Look, I bought a lot of things, but they're too thick. I think it's difficult to put them in your orange flowers." Xia Qian, I'm warning you. Don't mess around. Qin Fian was born a beauty. At this moment, his face was dark and his eyes were sharp. Even though he was tied up, he still revealed a ferocious look as if he wanted to eat someone alive. Xia Qian shrugged her shoulders and spat. Then she deliberately patted her chest and shrank her neck. Yeah, young Master Fei Yan, I'm so scared. Xia Qian, I won't let you live in peace in Sea City. I will personally kill you. Seeking no place to live in peace. Just give him a tomb. If you kill me with your own hands, cremate me, and then throw my ashes into the sea. At this point, Xia Qian started humming a song. Cut love into pieces and blow it into the sea. There are many things that can be understood after being washed away by tears. Innocent as I am. Qin Fian struggled to break free from the rope on his back. When he heard Xia Qian singing Mei's song, he wanted to kick him. How naive. That's right, naive my ass. You don't believe that I'm naive? I feel that there's a need for you to understand me. Xia Qian felt that it was a pity that no one could understand her in her lifetime. Her sister loved her, but it was only love. No one understood her. There were many thoughts in her heart that were not understood. She felt that she was very smart, but others thought that she was very stupid and strange. She clearly felt that things were very right, but in the eyes of others, it was very funny and very funny. Why was this? Xia Qian threw the things in her hands away and climbed onto the bed. She slept beside Qin Fian. Qin Fian reflexively leaned back and wriggled a few times with difficulty, distancing himself from Xia Qian. However, Xia Qian domineeringly put her arm through Qin Fian's neck and pulled him into her embrace. She lay on the bed, crossed her legs, and patted Qin Fian's face with her other hand. She said very manly, "Be good." Qin Fian almost vomited blood. Don't F*** king touch me. His face was really green. His eyes were red. He reckoned that his liver was trembling.
Xiaoqian did not care about this. She felt that she was going to die. What was a dying person afraid of? At worst, you'll let me die a few hours earlier.
Leukemia, God.
It was scary just thinking about it.
In TV shows and novels, when the protagonists got such a disease, they would hide it from everyone and bear the pain alone. Xiaoqian felt that at this time, her sentiments had been raised to another level. This noble quality of thinking for others was not something that everyone had. Especially at her age, when she was young and beautiful.
Who would be like her? She kept the sadness to herself and left the laughter to others.
Xiaoqian was almost moved by herself. So she used a little more strength in her arms. She still had the ability to deal with a man with 4 limbs tied up.
Qin Fian was firmly fixed in Xiaoqian's arms.
No matter how much he wanted to resist, Xiaoqian would not let go.
Qin Fian, I want to talk to you about life.
Talk my ass.
I'm not interested.
Let me tell you, if you don't untie me, you're dead meat. Xiaoqian did not hear the threat and said to herself, "Hey, let me tell you, my sister is my uncle's daughter. She's really good to me and always gave in to me. When I was in junior high, I was much uglier than I am now. My body was full of scars and my classmates laughed at me. She stole second aunt's gold bracelets, gold necklaces, and gold rings and sold them. With the money from selling the jewelry, she found some hooligans in our town and beat up all the classmates who laughed at me and bullied me in school. She even said that if anyone dared to bully me in school, she would beat them to death."
Xiaoqian sniffled.
"But that day, she helped me vent my anger, but second aunt beat her up too. My aunt couldn't bear to do it, but she had no choice. Second aunt said that she would send her to the police station. Later, eldest aunt gave all the gold that she had brought with her as dowry to second aunt. Only then was the matter settled."
Qin Fian was not in the mood to listen to this.
"Xiaoqian, a scourge like you specializes in harming people. Qiu Shaoya was blind to help you." Qin Fian felt uncomfortable being strangled by Xiaoqian. He wanted to break free, but as the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. Now, he could not even stretch out a finger, let alone 2 fists. He opened his mouth and bit down.
Who cares what he bit?
Xiaoqian was shocked by the pain. All the hurt that a literary young woman should have felt disappeared. She reached out and pinched the beautiful man's chin and moved away from herself. She really wanted to draw a turtle on his face or deform it, so that when she looked at a man's face, she would not feel that it was a mistake to be born a woman. The pain in her chest was still there. Fortunately, she was wearing a thick bra with a thick sponge cushion. Was this the help of a flat-chested woman? If a big-chested woman was wearing Les's thin bra, she would have lost half her breasts after being bitten by this beast. Faced with another enemy, Xiaoqian said sternly, "Qin Fian, you son of AB*TCH. Last time, you took off my clothes and tried to molest me. At that time, I saw your naked body, so we called it even. But now, you're trying to molest me again. How dare you lick my breasts?" Qin Fian's mouth was wide open. He couldn't even muster the strength he wanted to muster. Did he hear wrongly? He wanted to molest her? Bah! Also, the woman had said lick, not bite. But he clearly used the word bite. "Why are you opening your mouth so wide? Do you want me to kiss you?" "Why would I kiss you? You're a homosexual. You've kissed a man before, and you want me to kiss you? In your dreams." Xiaoqian roared righteously. She looked at the beautiful man's face in her hand. Wow, this mouth is really good. What a seductive little bottom. The heavens are really messing around. It's a pity for such a man to be a bottom. It's a waste of a heavenly gift. How can he be a bottom with such muscles? Her hand was pinched on Qin Fian's face. It was as if her hand was stuck between his teeth, so it was impossible for him to close his mouth even if he wanted to. Qin Fian looked at Xiaoqian's perverted eyes and shuddered again. His almond-shaped eyes widened and he looked back. He wanted to kick someone. He wanted to kick someone. He wanted to kill someone. What was this woman doing? She wanted to kiss him. If she dared to kiss him, he would kill her today. The face of the woman in front of him was getting bigger and bigger, getting closer to him. Xiaoqian was sucking on Qin Fian's lips. Her tongue reached into his mouth for a moment and then escaped. Qin Fian closed his mouth and was about to bite Xiaoqian's lips. Xiaoqian knew that she was in danger. She kissed him a few times and quickly ran away. She didn't forget to laugh at him. "Look at you. It's not your first time kissing. Why are you so shy?" Qin Fian thought about the stinky tofu from last time. He closed his eyes and took a few deep breaths. When he opened his eyes again, he narrowed them. There was an ominous glint in his eyes. He gritted his teeth and said, "Xiaoqian, remember this. You provoked a man called Qin Fian today." Xiaoqian wasn't afraid. She was going to die. What was there to be afraid of? She kissed Qin Fian's face and deliberately swept more saliva on his lips. She even kissed him on the cheek. Then, she smeared it all on Qin Fian's face. She chuckled. "I'll remember it. I'll remember it until I die. Don't worry, I won't forget you. Dear, do you feel honored?" Qin Fian could still feel the woman's saliva on his face. This crazy woman. He aimed at the woman's head and used his strength to knock his head against hers. Ah! Ah! Xiaoqian let go of Qin Fian and touched her forehead, which was seeing stars. "Qin Fian!" Xiaoqian jumped off the bed angrily and picked up a pair of scissors from the table. It was the pair of scissors that Xiaoye used to cut clothes. She crouched in front of Qin Fian and waved it. "Qin Fian, do you see? Scissors. Our game has begun. Asterisk 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 scissors? Scissors. What was this crazy woman trying to do?" Qin Fian had a very bad feeling. If she put scissors on a man's body and said that she wanted to use it, the thing she cut would be hair-raising. Xiaoqian held the scissors and approached Qin Fian. "Don't move. I'll cut your flesh later. If you move on your own, I won't care if you bleed." Awesome novel, Song Shu 566. Chapter 734. Qin Fian really didn't dare to move. "Don't move, Qin Fian. Let me tell you, you're the most shameless. You actually grabbed my dress and tore it. That's too much. Think about it. My dress is so expensive. It's custom-made. Although my sister also has custom-made dresses are very expensive. Don't you know?" You opened the front of the dress. It's so frail that it can't be mended. What a pity. I was planning to wear it to show off at class gatherings in the future. Look at you. It's fine if you don't compensate me, but you keep bullying me. Xiaoqian picked up the corner of Qin Fian's trousers, aimed the scissors at the mouth, and cut down. She cut a small hole, then put the scissors down. She pinched both sides of the opening with her hands and pretended to tear it. She looked at Qin Fian, who had been burning her with hatred, and said, "I'm going to pay you back today. What you did to me, I'm going to do to you. Today, I'm going to tear your clothes." Humph. Qin Fian snorted coldly and exhaled. Fortunately, she was only tearing his clothes. He ignored her for the time being and thought of a way to break free from the rope. Xiaoqian forcefully tore open Qin Fian's trousers. She stopped after tearing a section. It was not coherent. She tore until she reached his groin. Then, she threw away the fabric, revealing his long legs. One leg was wearing casual trousers, and the other was lying there beautifully. Looking at the torn fabric, his white skin, and the way he was tied up, it really looked like he had been cruelly defiled. She couldn't bear it, she couldn't bear it. Xiaoqian felt her heart soften again. Looking at the man's legs, she swallowed her saliva and started to cut the other trousers. Both legs were exposed. This was the most beautiful beggar, right? Dressed so shabbily? If Qin Fian stood up, such elegant trousers would definitely be very sexy. Xiaoqian rubbed her face. She simply used the scissors to cut deeper, directly cutting the waist of the trousers. This was great. The man was wearing a pair of bullet underwear, and the thing in his pocket was a big and bulging bag. It was not that she had not seen him take a bath that day. Her eyes suddenly seemed to have X-ray vision, and she saw a black forest and something. Aya, she's too pure. I don't know what to say. For the time being, I'll just give her a written name. JJ. Qin Fian bent his body and bent his legs to avoid Xiaoqian's perverted appearance. Xiaoqian, you're not allowed to look. It's not like I haven't seen it before. How can you be so shameless?
When have I ever cared about my face? Why did this conversation sound so familiar? Qin Fian was speechless. That's right. Since when did she care about her reputation? She dared to push him back into the swimming pool and pull off his pants in front of everyone. Thinking about it from the beginning to the end, he really felt very hurt. Saber wanted to see it coming. After cutting Qin Fian's pants and clothes, Qin Fian was left with only a pair of underwear. His hands were tied behind his back, and his legs were tied. Such a fair and beautiful man. She really could not bear to ravage him. Qin Fian, I've now cut off all your clothes and pants. I've avenged you for ripping off my clothes. Xiaofan put the scissors back on the dressing table and returned to the bed. She lay on her side, supported her head with one hand, and made herself look at Qin Fian. Now I want to take revenge on other things. Xiaofan. Qin Fian could no longer predict what Xiaofan was going to do. He could only grit his teeth and call out Xiaofan's name word by word. Last time, you were not gentlemanly. You actually wanted to throw me down from such a high place. My back was bruised from the water for a few days. You made me not dare to tell my sister for many days. You scum. If I don't throw you down today, I'm not Xiaofan. As Xiaofan spoke, she pushed and shoved Qin Fian towards the bed. The man was tall and strong. Xiaofan used a lot of strength to push him to the side of the bed. Only when the man was pushed to the side of the bed did she smile evilly. Qin Fian did not care. There was a carpet in the hotel, so it would not hurt much. When he was kicked off the bed, bang! Damn! Why was the ground so hard? So cold? He tilted his head to look. Magnetic tiles. Only then did he realize why he could feel that it was a hotel. This hotel was definitely below 2 stars. It showed the tackiness of a low-class hotel everywhere. His body was bare, and the magnetic tiles were cold. So dirty. Qin Fian fell to the ground. He wanted to sit up, but Xiaofan kicked him to the ground. As soon as he sat up, he was kicked to the ground again. Xiaofan, if you have the ability, kill me here today. Otherwise, I'll tell you, I'll make you feel that living is the most painful thing in the world. Okay, I'll tell you. You must let me know what it feels like. Xiaofan sat on the edge of the bed. One of her white feet stepped on Qin Fian's chest, not allowing him to stand up. She crossed her arms, trembling proudly, and raised the corner of her eyebrows. To be honest, Xiaofan felt that although she was called stupid by others, no one could bear to humiliate her in front of her, let alone hurt her. The incident at the swimming pool last time was really unforgettable. Therefore, her hatred for Qin Fian was especially deep. People said that when a person was about to die, his words would be kind. However, she did not want to be a kind person. No matter what, she had to solve the problems that she had caused when she was alive. She did not want to be depressed in the netherworld. In her next life, she swore that she would not be called stupid by others. Don't think that she did not know that those people secretly laughed at her for being stupid. Didn't they think that she was stupid? If she was stupid, how would she know that her sister was good to her? If she was stupid, why would she go to Yi Er and ask Zhang Zhao to introduce her to a job instead of her sister? If she was stupid, why would she work part-time as a waitress in a place like Haiyue restaurant? Now that she was no longer working there, people kept calling her to go back to work and even gave her a raise. Many customers said that they were asking why the girl named Xiaofan was not there anymore. She was not stupid at all. Humph. Stepping on Qin Fian's chest, Xiaofan said carelessly, "Well, Qin Fian, you scum. Let me tell you, I was just taking revenge for you throwing me into the pool. This is considered light. The conditions here are poor and simple. It's just a formality to satisfy my vanity. But you called me a cement board. I still have to take revenge. Don't you know that it's not good to say that a woman's breasts are small, just like a woman saying that a man's penis is small?" Xiaofan glanced at Qin Fian's lower abdomen. Qin Fian bent his legs even deeper to cover his private parts. "As for me, I just want to see how big yours can be. What right do you have to laugh at my small breasts?" Xiaofan said as she stood up, walked to the other side of Qin Fian, and squatted down. What Xiaofan did to Qin Fian was over. Qin Fian hated women touching his body. This was a fact that everyone knew, but Xiaofan touched him again and again. The first time, she took stinky tofu and forced a kiss on him. She even pressed him to the ground and kissed him. Then, she took off his pants. Today, not only did she kiss him, she even smeared her saliva on his face. He let out a long sigh. He closed his eyes and steadied his mind. He was on the verge of exploding. His hands were tied behind his back, but he could still feel the fake watch on his wrist. His heart was beating violently. He swore that if Xiaoqian, this demoness, dared to do anything to him today, he would. In the future, he wouldn't care if she was his sister-in-law's friend or Zhuang Yichen's sister-in-law. No matter who she was. Even God couldn't stop him from taking revenge on her. Xiaoqian slowly squatted down beside him and smiled coldly. Qin Fian, if yours is really big, you can laugh at me however you want. But what if yours is small? In the future, I'll tell everyone that Qin Fian is gay because it's too small. Haha. Qin Fian's heaving chest was filled with anger. Xiaoqian could feel it, but she was now a person who didn't fear power. She was not afraid. Her hand reached towards Qin Fian's lower abdomen. Qin Fian desperately bent his legs and bowed his body, determined not to let Xiaoqian get close to him. Xiaoqian was anxious and tried to pry his legs apart. Qin Fian was even more anxious. He imitated what he did on the bed just now and slammed his head hard against Xiaoqian's head. Xiaoqian's eyes were seeing stars again. Qin Fian was gasping for breath after slamming his head against Xiaoqian. When he spoke, he was out of breath. Xiaoqian, if you dare touch me today, you're dead meat. You're dead meat. When Xiaoqian saw Qin Fian lying naked on the floor, her nose heated up again. Oh no, my nose is bleeding again. She was probably not far from death. I'm already dead meat. Why would I be afraid of you? You dare not be afraid? Why should I be afraid of you? You think that with Qiu Xiaoya's backing and Zhuang Yichen's backing and the fact that you're my sister-in-law's friend, I have to give in to you, right? Let me tell you, if you dare touch a hair on my body again, I'll use 100 ways to kill you. Xiaoqian squatted there and slapped her hands. Why are you so agitated? You've seen my chest, so what's wrong with me looking at your place? You can laugh at me, so can't I laugh at you? Your temper is really weird. Do you really think that you're a young master? So what if you're a young master? Do you think that a young master doesn't have to take responsibility after seeing a virgin's chest? Dream on. Do you think that my chest is for show? Xiaoqian did not go to Qin Fian's front to pull off his pants. Instead, she grabbed Qin Fian's waist and pulled it down. The first time Qin Fian had the thought of killing himself was when Xiaoqian touched, scratched, and used condoms to make his second brother stand up majestically. Xiaoqian, I'm going to kill you. You bastard. Ah, Qin Fian, what's wrong with your brother? Why is he so fangirled? You're not a virgin, are you? Oh, but you're a bottom. You're probably not a virgin anymore. What a pity. Your bottom thing is so big. Qin Fian looked at the bed frame in front of him. It was made of wood. He wanted to crash into it without hesitation. He had died 100 times, but he also wanted revenge. Attention, Hongcha 866. Chapter 735. Xiaoqian was a fujoshi who had read countless doujin novels and manga. She was very familiar with gay men. She was curious. Being reserved and shy had nothing to do with her. It was about how to make a little bottom feel good. Xiaoqian took a bottle of massage oil from the table. Qin Fian kept resisting. In the end, Xiaoqian found a belt and tied his knees. This way, it would be very difficult for him to move. Only then could Xiaoqian continue her shameless behavior. Xiaoqian took a cotton swab dipped in oil and applied it to Qin Fian's anus in disgust. Qin Fian had no strength to scream. Xiaoqian, I swear I'm not human if I don't kill you. Xiaoqian did not answer his question. I will serve you well. Xiaoqian, just you wait. What you gave me today, I will return 100 times more in the future. Hey, Petty. Just because I'm not your boyfriend? Don't tell me you have a fixed partner? It can't be, right? I think a little bottom like you must be very fickle. There must be a lot of big guys who want to fuck you. Look at how white your skin is. Your looks are so good. Oh, your skin is so tender. Just like a woman's. When the big guys rape you, they must feel so good. I really want to hear you scream and see if it's like those in the manga. Oh hey, can you also scream Yamit, Yamit? Xiaqian pinched her throat and screamed, Yamit, a few times. Qin Fian had goosebumps when he heard it. When Xiaqian applied the oil, she took a male penis and aimed it at Qin Fian's butt and pressed it in with all her might. Qin Fian's heart was not only filled with humiliation, but also with hatred. The thing that was put in the orange flower made him very uncomfortable. Xiaqian frowned and did not dare to act recklessly. However, she was very puzzled. This was not what the calcium tablets and books said. This was not scientific. The rhythm should not be like this. After applying the oil and pushing in, the little bottom should be blushing and groaning. Oh, I can't push in. Why are you so tight? Do you usually give oral sex to Mr. Dagong? Qin Fian was in so much pain that he broke out in cold sweat. Xiaqian, how can there be a monster like you in the world? You still have the nerve to call yourself a virgin. Qin Fian, if a person like you were to be placed among women, you would be a green tea bitch, do you know that? You've already done it, but you have to pretend that you don't know anything. People like you, you're the sinister side characters in the novels. As she spoke, she gently pushed the thing in her hand a little deeper. As she pushed, she played with Qin Fian's penis. Unexpectedly, it was really like what was written in the book. The condom would swell when she touched it. Qin Fian could clearly feel the humiliation. At this time, an even deeper pain came from his back. To protect. Blood flowed from his forehead. Xiaqian was shocked. She just wanted to take revenge on him. She quickly pulled out the stick that was still stuffed in the man's butt and pushed hard. Qin Fian, don't scare me. Qin Fian heard Xiaqian's voice. So this woman actually knew how to be afraid? Just as Xiaqian's hand reached for Qin Fian's nose, he held his breath. Xiaqian was at a loss. Did he die? She just wanted to take revenge on him. She did not expect him to die. Her hand trembled as she called for an ambulance. The ground was a mess. Xiaqian realized that if the ambulance arrived and saw this scene, it would be bad for her reputation. So she hung up the phone and untied Qin Fian. She wanted to cover him with a robe. The ropes on his hands were untied, and the ropes on his feet were also untied. What Xiaqian did not know was that her good days had finally come to an end. Just as the last knot of the rope was untied by Qin Fian, he used his elbow to hit the woman's forehead. Qin Fian, you set me up. Qin Fian wasn't wearing anything. He couldn't care so much. He pressed Xiaqian on the ground and tied her up quickly. When Xiaqian came back to her senses, Qin Fian had already carried her to the bed. He stood up and walked into the bathroom naked. After a while, there was the sound of flushing in the bathroom, and the sound of splashing water could be heard. Only then did Xiaqian realize that her hands were tied behind her back, just like Qin Fian. Her feet were tied in the same position. There was a little more. Qin Fian was much worse than her. His back was bent, and his hands and feet were tied together. There was no chance for her to turn over and sit up. She was scared, really. Only then did she recall the scene of Qin Fian calmly walking into the bathroom naked. There was no anger on his face. Not at all. It was as if he was eating. His expression was calm, and his posture was relaxed. Her heart was beating very fast, as if there was a ghost behind her. After Qin Fian came out of the bathroom, he had a scarf wrapped around his waist. His perfect figure was standing at the head of the bed. Xiaqian looked at Qin Fian. At this moment, Qin Fian had already put on his glasses. A gentle and beautiful man. Look at his smile. His smile was so warm and kind. He was simply a harmless little teddy bear. Qin Fian's smile was just as Xiaqian had imagined. It was not bad at all. It was very gentle. He asked Xiaqian softly, Qian, do you think I'm handsome? Xiaqian's saliva was stuck in her throat. She was not used to it, and her face turned red. Goosebumps appeared all over her body. It was too scary. Handsome. At this moment, she did not dare to say that he was ugly, right? She only remembered that he said that she was going to die. Now she still liked to die slowly. Leukemia was not poisoning, so she would not die so quickly. At night, she could still go to eat KFC. Tomorrow, she could go to an 88 yuan buffet. The day after tomorrow, she could go to a 180 yuan travel ticket. After working for so long, her sister usually gave her some money, but she did not spend her salary. She still had more than 3,000 yuan in savings that she had not spent. She had not spent all the money that her sister had given her to buy a car last time. She had not spent all the money. How could she die? Handsome, really? Young Master Fian, you're too handsome. Qin Fian's hand rested on the place where the towel was stuck, as if he was going to pull it away. He said slowly, "Really? I think so too. Then do you think mine is big? Is mine bigger or yours bigger?" After saying that, he smiled shyly. Xiaqian immediately said affirmatively, of course yours is big. How can mine be compared to yours?" Qin Fian had been smiling gently and innocently. His hair was still dripping water, and his eyes behind his glasses were as pure as water. He blinked. Qian, you're so bad. Your chest muscles are not as high as your breasts." Xiaqian's face turned green, and she choked. "Fian. Young master, a woman's breasts are the same as a man's. If you want to compare, of course you should compare her breasts with yours." Qian, you really know how to talk." Qin Fian kept calling her Qian, and it made Xiaqian's hair stand on end. She did not see him being fierce, and there was no hypocrisy in his eyes. He was blinking innocently, and the corners of his mouth were not crooked. He was smiling sincerely. But look at his hand on his waist. It was obvious that he wanted to remove the towel. That action felt very uncoordinated. Xiaqian trembled. "Young Master Fian, I'm not good with words. I don't know how to talk." "No, Qian is so good with words. She knows everything. She knows popcorn, she knows oral sex. Oh, she's so knowledgeable. I don't know anything. I wanted to ask Qian for advice. Qian just said that my private part is very big. Let me show you again, okay?" The moment Xiaqian heard the words, popcorn, oral sex, she was reminded of the harsh words Qin Fian had shouted when she was teaching him a lesson. She really wanted to kneel on the ground and bow to Qin Fian, but she could not. No, he couldn't do it. He could only howl, "Sir, please spare me. I won't dare to do it again. I beg you, please let me go. Don't talk to me in such a tone." Qin Fian chuckled. "Naughty, you're so naughty." His smile was so charming that it made one's bones melt. "I still think Qian is more adorable when you're like that. What's wrong with you now? Don't be like this. There are too few girls with true personalities nowadays. Qian's personality is too rare. She's not pretentious or pretentious at all. She's not like those green TB asterisk cheese out there." Xiaqian could not bring herself to smile. Qin Fian was too vengeful. He remembered everything she said and was now returning the favor. "Qian, I'll show you again. You like to see it anyway. What do you think?" Qin Fian pretended to pull the towel away. Xiaqian shook her head. It sounded as if she had met a robber who wanted to kill someone who had seen his true face. "Young Master Fian, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it." "You don't like it? So you don't want to see it?" "I don't." "That means you don't. Then let's see it," the man said as he pulled his towel away. Xiaqian closed her eyes, not daring to look. Just as she closed her eyes, Qin Fian slowly tied the towel back. He slowly bent down and picked up the massage oil on the ground. "Hey! Ah!" She closed her eyes. "I'm telling you to open your eyes and look at what I'm holding in my hand. What do you want?" Xiaqian narrowed her eyes. "I think your face is dry, so I'm going to apply some oil on you. I'll just use that cotton swab. You know it's shameful to waste it." No, change it." That cotton swab had stabbed him in the back. "Ah!" "Then I'll apply some in your mouth." "Sir, please forgive me. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry." Qin Fian was not willing to listen to Xiaqian's apology. He only cared about his warm words and then put everything he said into action. Xiaqian looked at the fingers in front of her. They were slender and fair, just like a woman's hand. No matter how she looked at them, they were beautiful. His face was a beauty's face, and his glasses were frameless glasses. But what he did was something a beast would do.
The cotton swab that had been applied on Qin Fian's buttocks was stained with oil and smeared on Xia Qian's face. Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 736. In just a short period of time, the two of them had switched places. This time, Xia Qian was the one yelling and screaming about revenge. When the cotton swab was put into Xia Qian's mouth, Xia Qian almost vomited. How disgusting. Her stomach churned and her face turned red. Qin Fian bent over and dipped the cotton swab in oil to brush Xia Qian's teeth. He said calmly, "If you vomit and stink the room, I'll find a spoon and feed you spoonful by spoonful. Do you believe me?" When Xia Qian heard this, she swallowed the food that had just reached her throat. The man said, He snorted. Xia Qian nodded. "I'm asking you if you believe me." "I'll use my mouth." "I believe you." Qin Fian's face suddenly darkened. His pupils behind the frames of his glasses shrank. He said fiercely, "Louder." Xia Qian trembled in fear and said loudly, "I believe you." Qin Fian returned to his harmless expression and said gently, "That's good. As long as you believe me. Come, I'll brush your tongue and clean it. Open your mouth and stick out your tongue." Xia Qian could only stick out her tongue. The wooden cotton swab handle was longer than the plastic one. Qin Fian only gently held the end. His actions looked very gentle. However, Xia Qian could clearly feel the force on her tongue. What was worse was that the cotton swab was going straight down her throat. She couldn't resist and immediately bit the cotton swab. However, the man turned the cotton swab. The sensitive part of her throat was brushed and she had the urge to vomit just now. Ugh! The man immediately pulled the cotton swab out and pulled a pillow over the woman's mouth. He used force to block it. "I said if you dare to vomit, I'll use a spoon to feed you clean. You don't believe me, do you?" 10,000 alpacas galloped in Xia Qian's heart. This beast, he did it on purpose. F*CKU. However, her mouth was firmly sealed and she couldn't curse even if she wanted to. Qin Fian knelt on the bed with one leg. He held the cotton swab in one hand and used the pillow to cover Xia Qian's mouth with the other. "Have you swallowed it?" Xia Qian glared at Qin Fian. Was this guy trying to change his expression? But she really didn't dare to do anything to him now. After hesitating for a long time, her expression changed again and again. She looked terrible. He nodded slowly. When he loosened his grip, she would vomit on him. "Swallowed?" He said with a nasal voice. Qin Fian smiled. "If you dare to trick me, I'll strip you naked and hang you at the exit of Haiqing's toll booth. I'll also hang a sign for you that says, Qiu Xiaoya's sister. Even if you kill yourself, I'll make sure you embarrass your sister." Qin Fian quickly deduced from Xia Qian's words that Xia Qian wasn't fearless. She cared a lot about Qiu Xiaoya. Sure enough, he saw the woman's eyes widen like copper bells, and then she swallowed hard. She heaved a sigh of relief and threw the pillow away. "All right, you're tired too. Let's play something else." "Qin Fian, you're bullying a woman. What kind of person are you?" "Xia Qian, what kind of woman are you?" "Ha!" The scissors in the man's hand were shining brightly. He fiddled with the scissors in his hand and stared at the scissors in a daze. "Let's cut the jeans first, then the top, then the bra, and finally the underwear. How about it?" Xia Qian finally realized how much she had gone overboard. But she was a woman. How could she be like this man who had a towel wrapped around his waist and was abusing her? "You're shameless." "I'm a woman. How could you do this?" Qin Fian bent down with a smile. He pointed the scissors at Xia Qian's folded pants and started cutting. "Forget it. It's not like this is the first time I've seen you. Last time at the hotel entrance, I saw it very clearly. It's not like we don't know each other well. Since I've already seen it, what's wrong with seeing it again? Also, didn't you just say that I'm a virgin? Do you think that a virgin's dick would be so casually shown to others? Do you think I saw it for nothing? It's so sad for a man like you to have such a big heart." "You're right. It's sad for a man like me to have such a big heart. But aren't I gay? There's still a difference." Xia Qian was speechless. Jeans were not as thin as casual pants and were difficult to tear. Qin Fian felt that there was no need to find something for himself to do, so he just cut all the way to the bottom of the woman's thigh, revealing the milky white cotton underwear inside. He buried his head in cutting the second pair of pants. Xia Qian screamed, "Oh! You're shameless. When have I ever been shameless? God, why did this conversation sound so familiar? Did he really have to return everything to her like this? What about that thing just now? The one that stabbed him?" Xia Qian's clothes were all cut off and thrown everywhere. She didn't want to wait for leukemia to act up and die. She wanted to be like Qin Fian just now and fight for life with death. But she was on the bed now. Where was she supposed to go? Besides, she was tied up in a very difficult position. Her hands and feet were tied together, so she could only tilt her head back. There was no way she could hit the wall. Xia Qian had a pure pear blossom hairstyle. Her face was covered with loose hair, and her face was covered with oil. Her hair was all stuck on her face, and it was particularly uncomfortable. In order to see the frightened expression on her face, Qin Fian picked up the cotton swab that had been thrown away on the ground and slowly parted her hair. Her shiny face was exposed. It was very funny. Qin Fian stood by the bed with a towel wrapped around his waist and laughed. "Xia Qian, what did I say just now? I said I'll pay you back 100 times. But I don't usually do things the normal way." "Xia Qian, after you messed with me, you'll definitely receive an unforgettable education." Qin Fian felt that stabbing her but was too dirty. It was mainly because he felt dirty. He could ask others to do it, but he couldn't do it himself. So he made a call. Xia Qian clearly heard Qin Fian say that he wanted chili. He wanted the spiciest chili. He wanted to buy it from authentic Sichuan and Hunan restaurants. He also wanted salt. He also wanted pepper. "Qin Fian, what are you doing?" "Ha! I'm just an idiot. Can't you forgive me?" Xia Qian admitted that she was an idiot. She didn't know what this man wanted. She only knew that he wanted revenge and wanted to mess with her. Most of the time, his smile was gentle and kind. But once she disobeyed him, he would immediately turn hostile and shout at her. He was just like a person with a split personality. How could he be more beautiful than a woman? Qin Fian didn't care that Xia Qian was a woman. He sat down on the other side of the bed. He held the TV remote control in his hand and prepared to watch TV. When Xia Qian saw Qin Fian get out of bed, she panicked. "Why, young master, what are you doing?" Qin Fian held the TV remote control in one hand and pulled a clean pillow with the other. Then he lay down. He stretched out his long arm and patted Xia Qian's shoulder. "Qian Qian, our friendship is really deep. I don't usually touch women, but look at you. Even if I touch you once, it's still touching. Now, I don't feel disgusted when I touch you. Can we be friends?" He said sincerely. Sure. Young Master Fian, let's be friends. Let's be friends. Look at how you're still tying me up. Friend, quickly untie me." "Qian Qian, as a friend, you should share your friend's burdens, right?" "Of course. For example, I'm very sad now that you've tied me up." "I'm very sad now. Sigh." Qin Fian threw the TV remote control away and raised his hand to cover his face. He sighed sadly. "Sigh, I feel very... What's wrong? Tell me. If I can help you, I'll help you." Qin Fian moved his hand away and turned his body. He looked into Xia Qian's eyes and continued to sigh. "I don't touch women. Look at you. You're naked in front of me. I even took off all your clothes. I don't know what to do now. I'm very conflicted now. I just can't find a place to vent. Since you're my friend, let me vent properly. Just a moment. Cooperate, okay?" Xia Qian's little face twitched. "Okay, your ass. This pervert, scumbag, liar." She thought that he was going to confide in her about some topics. In the end, this scumbag was just trying to instill fear in her. At this moment, the doorbell rang. Qin Fian had just gotten out of bed. Xia Qian had just shouted the word, "Help," when Qin Fian turned around and said with a smile, "My secretary, do you think it's useful for you to call for help? If you don't shut up, I'll get a few more secretaries to come over and blow your orange blossoms. Then, I'll hang you at the toll booth in Haicheng. I'll also hang a sign." Xia Qian shut her mouth.
When Qin Fian entered the house with 2 bags and closed the door again, Xiaqian immediately cried. One bag was Qin Fian's clothes. The other bag was full of salt, chili, pepper. Xiaqian felt that Qin Fian was a beast. At this moment, he was slowly putting on his clothes in front of her. After putting on his clothes, he would become a beast in human clothing. The beast in human clothing bent down and picked up the other bag. He looked at Xiaqian with a smile and waved the bag in his hand. He said gently, Qian, come on. Let me vent. Give me a moment. Although Xiaqian was naked, just like when she stripped off Qin Fian's clothes, she still let her fear overcome her shame at this time. Xiaqian was a fool, so she wasn't that afraid of many things. Other than being afraid of ghosts, her reaction to other things was always half a beat slower than others. Even though she was half a beat slower than others, Xiaqian was still scared at this moment. She was so scared that she cried and begged Qin Fian with all her might. Qin Fian blocked all the sounds outside his ears. He took off his fake watch and carefully put it in his trouser pocket. He put on the rubber gloves used for housework and opened the chili, pepper, and salt. There were protrusions in the palm of the gloves. It was probably designed by the manufacturer to prevent the bowls from slipping. However, Qin Fian wore such gloves and rubbed them hard on Xiaqian's body. What did it mean to have tender feelings for the fairer sex? Qin Fian never had such an idiom in his eyes. He had always been patient with Xiaqian. If it weren't for Zhuang Yichen and his sister-in-law, he would have dealt with Xiaqian long ago. However, this woman didn't seem to appreciate it at all. She took an inch and wanted a mile. A powerful novel. Song Shu 566. Chapter 737. Even if the woman he massaged was always crying and begging for mercy, he could still make himself unable to hear her voice at all. He hated women who cried the most. Chen was ashamed of everything. Women should always be smart, witty, humorous, kind, and cute. Xiaqian was definitely not a woman. Qin Fian was not sexually assaulting Xiaqian. He was purely massaging her. When her legs were red, he began to rub her stomach, then her chest and arms. Finally, he loosened the ropes around her hands and feet and began to scrub her back. Qin Fian used a lot of strength, but his words were gentle and touching. Chen, how's my technique? It's many times better than those Thai masseurs, right? Young master, I'm wrong, please forgive me. Xiaqian could no longer scold Qin Fian. She had never encountered such a situation and had no idea what this man was trying to do. When Qin Fian bent down to rub Xiaqian's back, there was a large piece of flesh on her back. It was wrinkled and disgusting. He didn't pay much attention to it just now. He frowned. The scar on your back is really ugly, but the rest of your body is fine. My sister said that my back is full of burns. I've been getting skin grafts every year, and now there's only this one left. Young Master Fian, please stop rubbing. I don't know if the grafts will spoil. 55555 Xiaqian sobbed and pitifully tried to gain sympathy. Qin Fian did not like people who had plastic surgery. He looked at her back in disgust. Skin grafts? You actually had plastic surgery? You used to be very dark, but now you're so white? Xiaqian really wanted Qin Fian to be merciful. I've had plastic surgery before too. Don't rub it on my face. My skin is not mostly my own. Young Master Fian, please don't rub it on me. But the more Qin Fian heard Xiaqian say not to rub her face, the more he rubbed on her face. Qin Fian pinched the woman's chin with a pair of plastic gloves. Where have you had plastic surgery? Xiaqian confessed truthfully, I used to have double eyelids. I used to have very fat single eyelids. Qin Fian stared at Xiaqian's eyes. Fat single eyelids? It's gone. Xiaqian was afraid that Qin Fian would be disappointed, so she said, that's all. The rest of the wounds are just skin grafts. Oh, burns. Qin Fian's hand paused, and then he continued to immerse himself in his work. She applied some water on Xiaqian's body and rubbed it again. Sprinkle salt and rub. He rubbed all the chili peppers on her body and finally stuffed all the chili peppers into her anus. When he was done, he saw that the woman on the bed had no strength to scream. Her whole body was burning red, and he felt so good. Xiaqian's body was burning with pain. Every part of her body felt like it was being burnt.
She no longer scolded or begged for mercy. Her consciousness was getting blurry. Her body was on fire. Every inch of her body was on fire. She couldn't see her whole body turning red. She could smell the burning smell. There was an 11 or 12-year-old girl with a ponytail standing in a courtyard house in a village in horror. The large beams of the house had collapsed. The beams had been burnt black by the fire and had cracked into turtle shells. The surroundings were filled with thick smoke, making it difficult for people to see clearly. However, they seemed to be able to smell the thick smoke, making them choke with a tear-inducing smell. There were 2 adults sleeping beside her, a man and a woman in their 30s. They were covered in burns and didn't move at all. On the other side of the courtyard, there was a little girl sitting on the ground and crying uncontrollably. The girl didn't dare to move. Pieces of burning wooden beams were falling from above her head. She only dared to lift her sleeves to wipe her tears. Then she looked at the little girl with ponytails and cried her heart out. The little girl with ponytails ran from the other side of the corridor. She ran to the little girl with ponytails and said, "Sister, run! Bing Dan, I sprained my ankle. I can't stand up. I'll carry you. Bing Dan, run quickly. It's going to collapse. My parents are dead. I won't run. I'll carry you. You go find your parents." There were waves of thick smoke. The fire was burning more and more fiercely under the gusts of wind. Xiaofan couldn't see clearly. She could only see the pillars falling and the beams collapsing. The beams were burnt into black charcoal, and the black charcoal was covered in demon-like flames. Xiaofan could hear the sounds of people putting out the fire from all directions. She clearly saw the little girl with ponytails carrying the little girl with ponytails on her waist. As they ran, something fell down. It was hot and heavy. Xiaofan felt it. She threw the little girl with ponytails away. She looked at the middle-aged man and woman in the courtyard and cried, "Mom! Mom!" Her whole body was on fire. Someone was shouting, "Little Bing Dan! Little Bing Dan!" Xiaofan looked at Xiaofan convulsing. Her whole body was as red as a boiled crab. The bed was a mess. Chili peppers were spilled all over the bed. The woman was placed on the bed like a piece of cured meat for him to vent his anger. He looked coldly at his masterpiece. Then he took off his glove and put on his fake watch. "Mom. Dad." The almond-shaped eyes behind his spectacles narrowed. He bent down and leaned close to the woman's ear. He quietly listened to the muffled murmurs. "Mom. Mom." "Run quickly." Xiaofan stood up. He was a little anxious. His hands were trembling. He clenched his fists and pressed them against his open mouth. His good-looking brows were furrowed. "Mom." Haicheng was a provincial city. Qiu Xiaoya and the rest were all from Haicheng. The children here didn't call their parents daddy. Their mommy was already very kind. "Amma?" There were no ethnic minorities here. He bent down again and poked her face with his white fingers. "Xiaqian, Xiaqian?" "Mom. I want fruit candies. Today I want 2 pieces." Qiu Xiaoya and Zhuang Yichen didn't know that Xiaqian was sent to the hospital. Zhang Zhao was in the ward. Looking at Xiaofan's sloppy appearance, he gritted his teeth. "Xiaofan, let's see how you explain this to Yichen. You know that Qiu Xiaoya treasures her sister like her own life. Just wait for Qiu Xiaoya to fight with you." "Hey brother, be fair. I'm just taking revenge on her. You didn't see how she treated me. Oh, so I'm just going to let her torture me and not fight back at all? Then won't she ride on my head in the future? Qiu Xiaoya will fight with me? When Xiaqian was messing with me, shouldn't she be waiting for the Qin family to fight with her?" Xiaofan didn't look Zhang Zhao in the eye. He leaned against the wall and crossed his arms, retorting loudly with a guilty conscience. Zhang Zhao hadn't been happy about being a father for more than a few months. He was playing at the amusement park with his wife and brother-in-law when he received such a call. He was furious. "You're the same as Xiaqian? You know that you're always stupid. Are you also stupid like her?" Xiaofan didn't feel good being lectured. He stood up straight and said self-righteously, "There are so many stupid people. I should give in to them, right?" Zhang Zhao said sternly, "She has a special relationship with Yichen. Can't you at least show her some mercy for Yichen's sake?" "How can I show her mercy? She didn't show any mercy when she messed with me." "Call Zhuang Yichen."
We can't keep this a secret. Zhang Zhao thought about it and took out his phone. Qin Fian snatched Zhang Zhao's phone and took out his own. I'll take responsibility for what I did. I'll talk to him myself. He dialed the number. Chen, come to Renxin Hospital. I applied chili all over Xia Qian. She's unconscious now and is on an 4 drip. There was no Zhuang Yichen's voice on the other end of the line. Instead, there was Xiao Ya's roar. Qin Fian. I'm going to kill you. Qin Fian trembled when he heard this. It was as if she really wanted to kill him. Xiao Ya threw the phone and rushed into the kitchen without taking her handbag. She grabbed a kitchen knife, opened the door in her slippers, and rushed out. Zhuang Yichen's expression changed and he quickly followed her. Xiao Ya drove her own car and sped all the way, ignoring the traffic lights. Zhuang Yichen's car was behind Xiao Ya's. He caught up with her a few times, but Xiao Ya shook him off. Zhuang Yichen felt that the situation was serious and he quickly called Qin Fian. Qin Fian, you're AF** King Beast. You know that Xiao Ya cares about her sister, but you're still so F** King Ruthless. No matter how deep the hatred is, can't you bear it for my sake? F***CK, no matter how much she goes, she's just a woman. Let me tell you, Xiao Ya is going to find you with a kitchen knife. I can't keep up with her car. You better hide. When Qin Fian received Zhuang Yichen's call, he instinctively felt conflicted. He wasn't the one at fault, so why was everyone blaming him? He pushed his glasses up his nose and said coldly, "Let her come over. Xia Qian was the one who offended me first. I didn't provoke her. You can ask Qiu Xiaoya to come over. She dared to use a knife on me, so I'll do the same to her. I won't admit to anything." Qin Fian. Zhuang Yichen stepped on the accelerator. He didn't care about lane changes, traffic lights, or sidewalks. He didn't care about anything that could be passed. He just stepped on the accelerator and rushed over. I apologize on behalf of Xia Qian, but you should avoid Qiu Xiaoya and give in to her. She's angry now. Are you really going to go against her? Qin Fian pondered for a while. What can I do? You all think that I'm in the wrong? How am I in the wrong? Can you have some basis for your words? What did I do wrong? Xia Qian kidnapped me. If I didn't injure my head, she wouldn't have let me go. If I was the one who was injured today, and someone tried to attack her with a knife, would you ask her to give in? When you speak, don't always take your stand. You all have your stand, but I don't. My stand has to disappear because of the person you're siding with, right? Zhuang Yichen hung up the phone. He couldn't refute Qin Fian's words. He could only drive the car faster. Xiao Ya's car rushed into the hospital. She didn't stop in the parking lot. She picked up the kitchen knife on the passenger seat and wrapped it with fabric in the car before rushing to the inpatient department. Awesome novel, Xinwu 799. Chapter 738. As soon as Qin Fian hung up, Xiao Ya entered the ward, holding something wrapped in fabric in her hand. Zhang Zhao looked at it and frowned. Xiao Ya was still wearing slippers. In front of the two men who were over 185 meters tall, she looked like a little chick. Zhang Zhao walked over. Xiao Ya, sit down for a while. The doctor gave Xia Qian an injection. Her fever should be gone soon. Xiao Ya pushed Zhang Zhao away, her eyes fixed on Qin Fian, who was leaning against the window. Qin Fian's attitude wasn't as good as Zhang Zhao's. Even though Xia Qian was hospitalized because of him, he didn't feel guilty. If he did feel guilty, it would have been washed away by the questioning of others. He crossed his arms and looked at Xiao Ya coldly, his posture saying, "What can you do to me?" Xiao Ya walked over. Qin Fian's mouth twitched. "What? Are you going to stab me with a knife? If you have the ability, go ahead. If you dare to hurt a single hair on my head today, I'll break the limbs of everyone in the Qiu family. Don't think that you can act all high and mighty just because you're with Yichen. Why don't you take a look at who gave you face?" Qin Fian's disgust towards Xiao Ya came entirely from Xia Qian. He had never looked down on her before. But now, no matter how he looked at her, she was an eyesore. Zhang Zhao walked over quickly and slapped Qin Fian on the shoulder. "At this time, don't talk so much. Are you adding fuel to the fire? He turned to block Xiao Ya's footsteps. Xiao Ya, this isn't Fian's fault alone. Qian Qian kidnapped Fian first, and Fian was also tortured by Qian Qian. Xiao Ya sneered. Even so, the one lying unconscious on the bed right now is Qian Qian, not Qin Fian. The fabric holding the kitchen knife fell to the ground. Xiao Ya raised the kitchen knife and threw it at Qin Fian. Qin Fian thought that Xiao Ya would raise the knife and slash at him. He didn't expect her to throw it through the air. He dodged, and the blade fell on his wrist, which instinctively covered his head. Dang! A loud sound was heard. Fian! Zhang Zhao didn't react in time and couldn't defend himself from the front and back. Xiao Ya wanted to rush over to snatch the kitchen knife from the ground, but two long arms suddenly wrapped around her from behind. At this time, the man behind her tightened his grip. Xiao Ya cried out in grief. Zhuang Yichen! Let go of me, let go! I'm going to kill that beast! Zhuang Yichen tightened his grip on Xiao Ya. If you kill someone, you'll go to jail. Who cares about your sister? She'll be discharged in 2 days. Where can she find you? Qin Fian stared blankly at his wrist. The bright surface of his wrist had already been broken by the sharp edge of the kitchen knife. He raised his other hand and pressed it against his forehead. Zhang Zhao felt that the atmosphere wasn't changing. He reached out and pulled him. Fian. Qin Fian slapped away Zhang Zhao's hand. He shook his shoulders, took off the glasses on his nose bridge and smashed them on the ground. He raised his foot and crushed them. Don't meddle in other people's business. Qiu Xiaoya smashed my surface. I won't let anyone F*King meddle in today's matter. Zhuang Yichen had always known that Qin Fian was wearing a fake watch. So he never wore the watch in his collection. At least, when he met Qin Fian, he never wore that watch. Fian, let's forget about this. Xiaoya smashed your watch. I'll pay for it. I have an identical one at home. Who cares about your watch? Qin Fian walked step by step towards Xiao Ya. Xiao Ya was like a fighting rooster preparing for war. Her feathers stood on end. Zhang Zhao knew Qin Fian's personality. He liked to pretend to be refined, afraid that others would think that he wasn't cultured enough. He always wore all kinds of glasses without lenses. He said that wearing these things made him seem easier to get along with and made it easier to do business. His spectacles were his outer clothes, but he had viciously stepped on them and shattered them. He was angry. Qin Fian was angry. Today's matter wasn't started by him, but everyone was blaming him. It made him angry. He felt wronged. He could endure it. After all, as Qiu Xiaoya said, the one lying unconscious on the bed was Xia Qian, not him. But Qiu Xiaoya smashed his watch. He couldn't take it anymore. Qin Fian grabbed a stool, raised it, and threw it at Xiao Ya. Zhuang Yichen had never seen Qin Fian hit his friend or his friend's woman. This was the most serious thing he had ever done. In this circle of friends, everyone knew how to endure. If they wanted to mess with someone, they would do it behind their backs. If they were forced to do it openly, then it would be like a volcano erupting. Hugging Xiao Ya, he turned around and smashed the stool onto Zhuang Yichen's back. Xiao Ya was stunned. Seeing Zhuang Yichen block the stool for her, her eyes turned red. Zhuang Yichen snorted through his nose. Qin Fian's target was Qiu Xiaoya. He didn't hurt her, so he couldn't take it lying down. He raised the stool, intending to go around Zhuang Yichen's back and hit Xiao Ya. Zhang Zhao saw that Qin Fian wasn't going to give up until he got what he wanted. It was useless to persuade him. At first, he was afraid of his words. I'm not done with whoever dares to interfere in today's matter. But now, he couldn't do anything about it. When he hugged Qin Fian, he realized that his little brother was too hard to control. When Qin Fian thought about his broken watch, he felt a lump in his throat. It was so bad that he almost cried. If he wasn't wearing this watch today, his wrist would have been broken by Qiu Xiaoya. Qin Fian went crazy and wanted to take revenge on Xiao Ya. Xiao Ya was also shocked by Qin Fian's behavior. Zhang Zhao kept persuading him, Fian, I'll take your watch and get it fixed. Can you change it to an identical watch cover? Other than Zhuang Yichen, Zhang Zhao also knew that Qin Fian was wearing a fake watch. Zhang Zhao knew that Qin Fian had been wearing this watch for more than 10 years.
A 15-year-old boy wouldn't have bought such a big gold watch with so many diamonds. At that time, Qin Fian had already started wearing it. Some people said that it was tacky for a teenager to wear it. He didn't care. One could imagine the importance of a watch. No. Mom. Mom. Xiaoqian's cries were like a weak bomb exploding in the room. Xiaoya broke free from Zhuang Yichen. She didn't care if Qin Fian wanted to take revenge on her. She ran over to Xiaoqian, who was covered in ice packs, and didn't know where to put her hands. Her tears fell on the ice packs. Qian Qian. Qian Qian. Mom. I want 2 fruit candies. Xiaoya covered her mouth and looked at Xiaoqian crying in her sleep. She sobbed. Fruit candies, fruit candies. Qian Qian. Are you orange-flavored? Qin Fian was stunned. He frowned and looked at Xiaoya comfortingly as she caressed Xiaoqian's forehead. Jiang Zhao sighed in relief, but he didn't dare to let go. Qian Qian. Do you want the ones that are like orange petals? Qian Qian. The fruit candies have been improved. Sister has better candies. I'll give you better candies. Amma. I want 2 orange-petaled ones. Qin Fian swayed. His head started to hurt. He pushed Jiang Zhao away and left the room. As he walked, he felt his head hurt. He sighed. He looked up at the sky. The white clouds were quickly turning dark. They were getting lower and lower, making it hard for him to stand. Xiaoqian kept calling for her mom. She refused to answer Xiaoya. Xiaoya knelt by the bed anxiously. She saw Xiaoqian's exposed skin turn red and black. She cried until her voice was hoarse. Bingdan, sister is calling you. Can you hear me? Qin Fian drove back to the Qin mansion. Young master, you're so early today. Mom happily went to take Qin Fian's briefcase. Where's Grandpa? The old maid said with a mysterious smile. He's in the study. He's writing. I'll go over. Young master, what do you want to eat tonight? I like everything you make. Mom loved to hear this. She was so happy that her eyes narrowed into slits. Okay. Qin Fian pushed open the door to Qin Rongfang's study. He put on his usual smile. Grandpa, you're back. Yes. I don't have much to do today. Did the sun set in the east today? You came over for dinner without calling after work? Qin Rongfang had the demeanor of an immortal. He didn't look up. He held his sleeve in one hand and a brush in the other. He was inscribing on the landscape that he was painting. Qin Fian walked to the side of the yellow rosewood desk. The inkstone was placed in front of him. He held the black inkstone in his hand, making his knuckles look white and slender. When he ground the inkstone, he said slowly, Grandpa, have all the people who kidnapped me been caught? Qin Rongfang frowned. The brush stopped in mid-air. He put it on the shelf and looked at Qin Fian, who looked a little lonely. Of course. Those who dared to kidnap my grandson, didn't I break their bones one by one? Grandpa, I don't think we caught all of them at once, right? You don't believe in Grandpa's methods. Qin Fian shook his head. I keep feeling that something is wrong. Asterisk. Since they were talking about the kidnapping 10 years ago, Qin Rongfang couldn't let his guard down. He rested his chin on his hand. You came back so early today because of this? Have a cup of tea and tell me slowly. Qin Fian put down the ink in his hand and wiped his hands with a wet towel. The aroma of tea filled the air. Qin Fian didn't like drinking tea. He liked coffee. No matter if it was bitter or had milk or sugar, it had a stronger taste than tea. He liked the taste of something fresh and more intense. Even if Qin Rongfang had opinions about his preferences, he wouldn't interfere too much. At most, he would say that he worshipped foreign things. Today, looking at his grandson who was frowning after drinking his partner's coffee, Qin Rongfang made the tea even more slowly. Fian, what do you want to say? Grandpa, how many people were involved in the kidnapping of me? 9. Qin Fian said again. But at that time you paid the ransom. After the kidnappers were all caught, the ransom disappeared. Don't you think there were some fish that escaped the net? Qin Rongfang pondered for a moment and said, It was said that the ransom was taken away by the local villagers. No one was willing to say anything. We checked and it was indeed so. Looking at the thoughtful Qin Fian, Qin Rongfang asked, Fian, You also hid some things from Grandpa back then, right? Qin Fian didn't say anything. Qin Rongfang said again, since you came back, I found that you were a little strange. How am I strange? Add. Hongcha 866. Chapter 739. Qin Rongfang took a sip of tea. Grandpa has asked you many times, but you were unwilling to tell me. I was also afraid that the incident had traumatized you, so I didn't ask. You bought a small sugar factory, the machines were old, the ingredients were primitive, and there were only a few old workers. The factory was small and uninnovative, and the wages of the workers were not low. It was equivalent to feeding a few people there. You never liked to eat sugar, and if you wanted to eat, you would occasionally peel the kind produced by your own sugar factory. Speaking of our Qin family, we're the wealthiest family in High City. Yet, my own grandson wears a fake watch all day long. Although outsiders never say anything about it, I'm puzzled. If you can't afford it, Grandpa can buy it for you. But are you someone who can't afford it? Ever since you came back that time, you didn't get close to female classmates. You even asked me to tell the school leaders that girls can't sit around you. At that time, I thought you wanted to focus on your studies and was afraid that girls would harass you, so I didn't think much of it. But later, you became more and more ridiculous, and even told the public that you were gay. Fian, Grandpa doesn't know how much trauma that kidnapping caused to you, but the psychological consultation said that the impact was not big. But with your various changes, Grandpa can't help but worry. You're not young anymore, and Grandpa is old. Grandpa can't force you to do anything, but you're the only child of the Qin family now. You're right. Your sister-in-law is pregnant with twins now, and you want to give one of them to Grandpa to take the surname Qin. But if it's a boy and a girl, do you think Grandpa will have the face to snatch a grandson from the Zhang family to take the surname Qin? Even if Grandpa Zhang agrees, Grandpa can't do such a thing. Zhao Zhao's job doesn't allow him to have a second child. Grandpa can't do such things that make things difficult for others. Can you understand Grandpa's painstaking efforts? Qin Fian did not answer. Grandpa, these years, I've been looking for someone. A girl. Yes. Qin Rongfang was so agitated that he almost knocked over the teacup in his hand. Tell me, Grandpa will find her for you. Qin Fian lit a cigarette in annoyance. He rarely smoked. At home, Qin Fian did not allow the younger generation to smoke in front of him. Today, he let Qin Fian do as he pleased. He even patiently waited for him to finish smoking before talking to him. Qin Fian exhaled a puff of smoke. The place where I was kidnapped was Wanderer Village, but I lived in Starfield Town for a period of time. I took the bus back to Sea City by myself, so I didn't tell you about this. Qin Rongfang's joy was suddenly covered up. You bastard! You didn't mention this part. What if there are some clues missing? What if something escapes the net? Qin Fian sighed. I was afraid that you would disturb the peace there. My benefactor lives in Starfield Town, and I visit him every year. In fact, I only didn't go the first year because you kept a close eye on me. But after that, every time I went, I only saw an empty courtyard. Then why are you telling me all this now? I was thinking that you hid the information about the kidnapping of me very well. Can you show it to me now? I want to see if it's because you saved me, and if that family was implicated. How could it be that they disappeared overnight? The villagers all said that the family went to the market and never went back. Qin Fian took a deep puff of the cigarette. After a while, he exhaled the smoke. The smoke swirled in front of him, grayish-white. It was smoking, and those wisps were fading away, circle by circle. But some memories seemed to be engraved in his bones and could not fade away at all. Hey, my name is Bing Dan Er. You country people's names are really old-fashioned. Amma said that my name is very nice. Here's some candy for you. Today, Amma gave me 2 orange-flavored candies. Look, these orange petals look like oranges. We have a lot of candies at home. They're better than this. Then give me your candy. I don't give my candy to outsiders. I'll get you out of here. When you grow up and marry me, I won't be an outsider anymore. I can eat your candy. Okay, if I get you out of here, I'll give you my candy. No. You still want to marry me. Okay, I'll marry you.
Then you can't divorce your wife like Father Nyo on the slope. Your mouth can't be like those people on TV, and you can't just let others kiss you. Okay, if you get me out of here, I won't kiss anyone else in the future. I'll only kiss my wife. Tomorrow, I'll let the children from the same village come over to herd the cows. I'll also bring my family's cows. My family is very rich, and we have 3 cows. When the time comes, I'll fence the cows, put you in a straw basket, and get you out of here. No one will find out. When you marry me, I'll ask my ama to give me the 3 cows as my dowry. What do you think? Not enough. You have to give me a watch as my dowry. I want a very expensive watch. Only then can I marry you. Okay, if you're good looking, I'll give you a watch. Asterisk 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 he didn't like being threatened. But at that time, he was already bored in the cellar. As long as someone said that they wanted to get him out, he was willing to agree to anything. Anyway, after he got out, he could go back on his word. Bing Dan told him that in her village, the 14-year-old swallow was already married, and the 16-year-old red plum was already a mother. Unbelievable, country people. In fact, most of the children in their teens had their first awakening of love. But at that time, he felt that his aesthetic standards shouldn't be like that. Bing Danner's single eyelids weren't good-looking. The children in the village ran around happily outside, and their skin was darker than the girls in the city. Bing Dan said that her family was very rich. In order to show that her family was very rich, she always stuffed meat into his bowl. She said that her family was very rich, and she ate too much. She was annoyed when she saw meat. Bing Dan was only 12 years old at that time. Qin Fian's vision was a little blurry. He touched his nose. Looking at the cracked surface on his wrist, his heart ached. He didn't know where she stole this watch. She went to the city with her appa that time and didn't get hurt when they came back. Even her appa didn't know. In his eyes, Bing Danner was extremely smart. At that time, she probably wanted to prepare a dowry and marry him. She even said shamelessly in front of him, "I stole it because that person said that this was the most expensive watch." Bing Dan was extremely smart. The kidnappers hid him in the refugee village. There were mountains everywhere, and there were many potato sellers in the mountain valleys. No one knew. But Bing Dan could get a group of cowherd boys to cover up. They could smuggle him out of the potato cellar and steal the watch as a dowry. Bing Dan had a pair of single eyelids, but her eyes were especially bright. It was her pupils that were especially bright, and she always had a lot of ideas. He remembered that she always ran away happily. Back then, Bing Dan liked to fold candy wrappers. She would keep the candy wrappers after eating it and fold them into butterflies or dragonflies. At that time, she brought him out of the refugee village and brought him back to Starfield Town. He stayed at her house, and there were candy wrappers and dragonflies strung together under the mosquito net. When he left, she gave him packets of candy wrappers. When he couldn't find her, he followed the address on the candy wrappers, found the sugar factory, and bought it. He originally wanted to torture Xiaqian to death, but when he heard Xiaqian call out, "Mama" again and again, he had the urge to cry. At night, in Xiaqian's ward at Renxin Hospital, Qin Fian peeled off the candy wrappers. The candy wrappers made a cracking sound, and the petals of the past started to rain in his mind. It rained flowers all over the sky. He pinched open Xiaqian's mouth. Xiaoya was about to kick up a fuss when she saw the hard candy that was like an orange petal. She froze. In the next second, Qin Fian had already thrown the candy into her mouth. Qin Fian pulled a stool across the bed and sat down facing Xiaoya. "Xiaqian should be from Starfield Town, right? How did you know?" Qin Fian's heart skipped a beat, but he still hoped that he could calm down. Maybe she wasn't. A 12-year-old girl couldn't have changed so much in just 10 years. His impression of Bing Dan was completely different from Xiaqian. Bing Dan was 10,000 times smarter than Xiaqian. Then why did all of their families disappear in just one night? I've also checked, and they don't have any relatives. Qin Fian couldn't help but laugh when he saw Xiaqian, who was sleeping soundly, sipping the candy in her mouth with a biu-biu sound. Only then did Xiaoya see the candy wrappers in Qin Fian's hands. These kinds of candies didn't exist anymore. Bing Dan liked to carry these candies with her when she was young. She stared at Qin Fian for a long time before saying, "We're very distant cousins.
The locals don't know. Late at night, Qin Fian walked out of the hospital. He started to beat his chest with all his might. As he beat, he kicked everything that could be kicked. The person he had been looking for more than 10 years had been tortured so badly by him. Xiao Ya's sobbing voice still echoed in his ears as she recounted. At that time, they came to visit our relatives. At first, I despised them because they were from the countryside and I didn't like them very much. My mother always praised her for being hardworking, so I disliked her even more. At that time, our family went to the countryside to avoid the summer heat. A fire broke out at a farmhouse and her parents were burned to death. She was seriously injured because she tried to save me. My parents almost used up all their savings for her treatment and skin grafting. She didn't have many burns on her face, but her eyelids were burned. My mother said that girls shouldn't have scars on their faces, so she had her double eyelids cut along the scar. When she woke up, she couldn't remember anything. She didn't even recognize me. She didn't even know who her parents were. Actually, this was the result we all hoped for, so we gave her a new name. Qin Fian didn't know what to do. He was still a little uncomfortable and couldn't get used to it. The person he had been looking for was right there, but he couldn't recognize her. She had gone through so much suffering and had to undergo skin grafting on a large scale. Xiao Ya said that everyone in the family felt guilty and almost went bankrupt for Xia Qian's treatment. They were afraid that if something went wrong, it would cause a girl to regret it for the rest of her life. When he was rubbing her body, he heard her begging him. She said that the skin on her body was all grafted and would be damaged if he rubbed it. With a loud bang, he punched himself in the chest again. Those sobs and cries for mercy were like a demon's voice in his ears. Qin Fian trembled a little. He sat in the car and locked himself in. He laid the seat flat. He thought that he might as well sleep like a log. When he was in the dark potato cellar, he only ate sweet potatoes. Come and see. Xinwu 799. Chapter 740. She would always knock on the wooden board. When she heard his voice, she would throw a candy to him through the crack, saying that her family was rich, so she had candy to eat. Sometimes, she would wrap a boiled egg in the paper of her exercise book and throw it in for him. Later, she said that she didn't want to marry him at first, but because he was pretty, even though her family was rich and giving him 3 cows was a little too much, he was pretty and she thought about it. The darkest time of his life was when he was 15 years old. When he was kidnapped, the brightest time was when she threw food for him to eat every day. Initially, he wanted to go back on his word. He still felt that Bing Dan, wasn't pretty. When he saw her face the moment he came out of the cellar, he wanted to go back on his word. Bing Dan was a girl with single eyelids and wasn't pretty. How could a child's words count? But he felt that he was a man. Even if he wanted to go back on his word, he had to find her and make things clear to her. Even if he wanted to go back on his word, he still had to sit at the table and make things clear, right? Moreover, he was the young master of the Qin family. If he didn't make things clear, he wouldn't be able to get a girlfriend or marry a wife. He had to be responsible for his promise. But every time he went to Starfield Town, the things wrapped around his pride became thinner and thinner. Every time he sat on the train, he would think that single eyelids weren't pretty. But her eyes were especially bright and were actually very pretty. Anyway, he would force himself to marry her. After all, he was a man. How could he go back on his word? Every time he went to Starfield Town, he brought more and more things with him. He always wondered if she liked more things now that she was a little older. She was 15 or 16 years old, and she was 18 to 19 years old. Girls always liked different things. CDs, MP3s, MP4s, MP5s, and girls' favorite things were cell phones, tablets, and dresses. He didn't know if she had grown taller, but he always bought one for each age. Those things that he felt that the children in the countryside wouldn't have, he would bring them year after year. He always remembered her raising her chin and saying to him, "Our family is very rich. Our family is the richest family in Starfield Town. If you marry me, you'll be very proud. Our family has 3 cows and a big house with about 10 rooms. There aren't many families in Starfield Town with more than 10 rooms." She put the kitchen, chicken pen, cow pen, and dog kennel. They were all included in the layout of her house. When he lived in her house, she always threatened him, "Don't think that you're so great just because you're beautiful. There are many people who want to be our son-in-law.
Among those people, there are also some who are good-looking. Humph. There are even people who are better looking than you. Until one day when she stuffed some money into his hands, she said with reddened eyes, "My mother said that you're the child of a rich family, so you should go back home. My mother said that your family will be worried. My mother said that your family is richer than mine, so you can wear different clothes and shoes every day. We can't afford them. My mother asked me to send you to the train station and let you go back to the provincial capital." That day when she sent him to the car, she only asked him, "Do you still mean what you said?" He just nodded. She grinned. Let's go. When I enter junior high school, there will definitely be a lot of boys who like me. If you don't hurry up and marry me, I will be snatched away." After the car drove out, he stuck his head out to look at her and saw that she was wiping her tears. When she saw him stick his head out, she immediately smiled at him. At that time, his eyes were also blurry. Other people said that children in the countryside were shy, but he had never thought so. This was because there were many girls in the countryside who got married at the age of 14 or 15. Many of them stopped studying and got married when they entered junior high school. In fact, he went to Starfield Town many times a year. He was really worried that she would get married before finishing junior high school. However, Bing Dan said that her family was rich and she didn't have to quit school to get married. She still had to go to university because she was the only child in the family and her parents could afford it. Thinking of this, he wasn't so anxious. The more he didn't see her in these years, the deeper his impression became. It was so deep that he couldn't erase it from his mind. Later on, it was so deep that he felt that there was no girl who was prettier than Bing Dan. Bing Dan had the world's prettiest single eyelids and the world's prettiest eyes. They sparkled like stars. There was always sweat on the tip of her little nose, and she was cuter than anyone else. Her teeth were like small beads, and when she bit on the hard fruit candy, there was a crunching sound. When she smiled at the sunlight, her little white teeth reflected the light. Xiaofan felt that water had entered his ears. They were wet and he casually reached out to touch them. His chest heaved up and down and he spurted out from time to time. He took a deep breath and then sniffled. Finally, he raised his arm and covered his eyes. He didn't dare to stay in Xiaoqian's ward. He didn't dare to think about how he had treated her. He couldn't even forgive himself. How could he let others forgive him? Xiaofan turned over. His body curled up into a ball. His sobs were very suppressed. The depression in his heart made his entire stomach ache. He didn't know what he did wrong. God just had to go against him. There were a few times when Xiaoqian approached him, provoked him, kissed him, and took off his pants. He didn't kill her because he lost his kiss. He should have sensed something was wrong. But he didn't have any thoughts. He didn't threaten Dan. Did he bring this upon himself? The surface she gave him was also broken. After so many years, it hadn't been broken. Now that it was broken, what did it mean? Was it an ominous order? Xiaofan had never been so impatient. He anxiously kicked the steering wheel with his long legs. Every kick, he exerted all his strength. After kicking for a while, he finally sat up when he had no more strength left in him. Why should I be sad? Why should I be sad? I found the person I wanted to find. Shouldn't I be happy? I didn't know that she was Dan. Didn't she mess with me too? Does she want to break off the engagement because of this? No way. How could an engagement that had been arranged for more than 10 years be broken off just like that? No such thing. Xiaofan pulled out a few pieces of tissue, wiped his tears, and opened the car door. He got out of the car and straightened his back. Finally, he realized that something was wrong and got back into the car. When he started the engine, he realized that the steering wheel was a little crooked. Jiang Zhao and Zhuang Yichen had been in the ward the whole time because they were afraid that Xiao Ya and Xiaofan would fight. But just now, they clearly felt that the two of them didn't quarrel anymore. There seemed to be an indescribable tacit understanding between them. In fact, even Xiao Ya couldn't figure out what was going on. She guessed that Xiaofan really wanted her to get better. Everyone saw Xiaofan's abnormality. Jiang Zhao guessed something, but he couldn't be sure. So, he waited. What he waited for was Xiaofan entering the ward with a big bouquet of roses. He had his usual smile. The glasses on his nose bridge fit his face perfectly. Looking at the person lying on the bed,
One could think of a word, a beast in human clothing. He didn't mind the awkwardness of making a scene during the day. He waved his hand familiarly and said hi to everyone. Xiao Ya's mouth twitched. When Qin Fian came in with a serious expression, she felt a little better. But this cheeky smile of his was really asking for a beating. Qin Fian handed the roses to Xiao Ya. Zhuang Yichen snatched it and threw it on the other empty bed. Qin Fian, what are you doing? What am I doing? You're so annoying. Qin Fian rolled his eyes at Zhuang Yichen. He picked up the flowers on the empty bed and handed them to Xiao Ya. This time, he didn't give Zhuang Yichen a chance. He knelt on one knee. Sister Xiao Ya, marry Xia Qian to me. Xiao Ya, Zhuang Yichen, and Jiang Zhao. The three of them almost spat at the same time. Jiang Zhao felt that this was a very valuable piece of news. He was a little excited and quickly walked out of the ward to call Qin Rongfang. Grandpa, did you know? Fian proposed to a girl. Qin Rongfang was drinking tea and almost spat it out. He clutched his chest and quickly made himself lie flat on the sofa to calm his heart before asking, Really? Really? But that girl is in the hospital now. You know her too. Last time, she ate stinky tofu and kissed Fian. Later, when Yun Yi and I returned to Jiang District for our wedding, she was the bridesmaid, Xia Qian. Qin Rongfang wasn't disappointed. Instead, he asked curiously, Her? Yes, but she's in Renxin Hospital. It's all Fian's fault. Qin Rongfang hung up the phone and shouted anxiously, Old Wu! Old Wu! Prepare the car! Prepare the car! Xiao Ya couldn't take this kind of provocation. Qin Fian looked like he wanted to kill her before, but now he was calling her sister and kneeling down. Besides, the doctor had said that Xia Qian's injury would be fine as long as her temperature was lowered. She was still being sedated, so she couldn't feel the burning pain. Her fever should be gone by noon tomorrow. It wasn't a terminal illness, so he didn't have to take such responsibility. But Qin Fian looked very serious. Zhuang Yichen put his hands on his waist, bent down, and moved his face in front of Qin Fian. He frowned as if he was studying a cultural relic. Hey, Fian, your rhythm isn't right. Qin Fian glared at Zhuang Yichen and snorted. My rhythm is always right. Then he continued to raise the flowers in front of Xiao Ya. Even if you want to pretend, don't harm my sister-in-law, Zhuang Yichen added. When Xiao Ya heard this, she suddenly remembered that Qin Fian was gay. Damn, wasn't she pushing her own sister into a fire pit? Qin Fian, get up. The doctor said that she didn't burn anything. My sister doesn't want you to take responsibility. Ah, why don't you want me to take responsibility? Qin Fian was confused. That's not right. I really want to take responsibility. Why don't you let me? Zhuang Yichen swallowed again and reached out to touch Qin Fian's forehead. You don't have a fever, do you? Did your boyfriend fight with you? Qin Fian slapped Zhuang Yichen's hand away in annoyance and stood up with a whoosh. He shoved the flowers in his hand into Xiao Ya's hand and said righteously, Anyway, I don't care anymore. Since you don't want me to take responsibility, then let her take responsibility for me. After this incident, my heart has been seriously damaged. Do you know what she did to me? Not only did she strip me naked, she even broke my orange flowers. Welfare, Hongcha 866. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.